51 movies across 3 channels, the bloodiest, most transgressive Horrorfest lineup yet. Bloodiest, most transgressive Horrorfest lineup of all time, and it all kicks off on August 19th. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm your host for tonight's festivities, Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the award-winning and freshly award-nominated monthly comic book review. Me and a slew of esteemed comic book YouTubers talking about our favorite comic books of the month. This month, we're tackling August, because that makes sense since it's the end of August. One day, we're going to throw you for a loop, though, and we'll do, like, the best comics of 2 months from now, and you'll see if we were right. Anyway, joining us, of course, as always, is my co-host. It's Nick. What is up, my man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Dude, it's going well. Super hot. But once again, we've done this consistently.
We have.
We've been nominated again. We are defending the title. And you, my friend, 3 nominations. Not too shabby, man.
Man, not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. And this is what, like, our... Man, I've lost track of how many times we've done this consecutively now. So, man, this is so cool. We got to be hitting 20-something, around 20,
That's
right?
20, 12 plus 8.
12 plus 8 is 20. It
12
is.
plus 8. In simple math, we're not good at. It takes us a minute, but we got there eventually.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Pleasure to be here, man. As always. Thanks so much, dude.
All right. And straight from the second best coast, it's the one and the only Easy Dick from 9 Panel Grid. 2-time nominee this year. How about that?
2. That's right. Yeah, I'm good at math too. 2 awards that I'm up for.
Yeah, congrats, dude.
Thank you. And yeah, hey, how y'all doing this afternoon or evening for you guys?
Doing
it's going
great.
well. It's a little hot.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's the heat coming off these books.
It's been a strenuous day.
I thought it was the panel.
Well, if we want to really kick up the temperature here at the panel, let's bring in Stu, Dr. Doom.
What's up, guys?
0 nominations this year, but it's okay.
Damn, still a number.
Oh, thanks. Definitely not a bit of the self-confidence there. I appreciate you as always. Always lifting me up, Robbie.
Man. You're nominated for this show. Dude.
Yeah,
we're all nominees, man. It's all good.
Don't do that. Yeah.
I'll send you a blue
I
ribbon.
love you fuckers. What's up? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Send me a lollipop.
And the man who should have been nominated for Best Beard. It's Bearded Comic Bro. What is up, my dude?
Did somebody say no nomination? What's up, gang? I think this is 4 years running, no nominations. I'm excited.
Dude, that's a record.
So it's a good record. Listen, if they'd sometime do a category for mediocre interviews, I'm in. But
they honestly, I think Best Interview Show would be a cool category. 100%.
Oh yeah,
that should definitely be on there.
Yeah,
you would be a shoe
in that category too.
No, yeah, probably, but don't worry about it. I'm just joking.
Stop.
Hey, we all do interviews now. This is great.
Right?
It is. I had a really cool one today. Honestly, I was like, oh man, they want me to interview the Vampirella team. I had a great chat with them earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
They sold me on their book. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't like interviewing people when I haven't read the book.
It's hard.
That was one of those things. It just kind of spurred the moment. All right, let's get into it. August had some good comics. It had some bad comics. Did anybody else exhaust themselves this final Wednesday trying to get ready for your show? Because God, there were so many, and so many of them were kind of bad, man.
Yeah, a lot of Image, a lot of DC. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. It wasn't a great Wednesday this week.
There was a few.
But it wasn't great.
No,
you're pulling 12 books. You probably had 2 or 3 gems in there.
Right.
The standouts were obvious. Yeah.
Well, let's see what those standouts are for the course of the month. So, Nick.
Yeah.
Why don't you kick us off? What's your pick of the month? And you out there in the chat, thank you so much for joining along with the conversation. Nick, take us off.
All right, guys. We're going to talk about. There's a few books that could have been my pick of the month, but one that I really want to showcase right now is Conan the Barbarian, issue number 14. We have a Zub on this one. He's been just absolutely killing it with this, and Savage Sword doing a really, really great job. And we're going to get him for years to come. So really excited for that one. But the reason why I picked this issue right here was because I love the story of this arc. We have a younger Conan who's been growing up with his elders. He's learning how to battle, things like that. They're trying to teach him like the religious aspects of their culture as well. And he's like in this crisis of faith at the moment. He's traveling now as he's gotten older. He's traveling into the mountains where his gods are supposed to be. And he's trying to figure out like, where are they? Is it tangible? Is it something I can put my hands on? He's trying to uncover that. Of course, he runs into some bad seeds, you know what I mean? They're trying to take his kills, things like that. So you get the normal Conan stuff, but you get like this religious thing on top of it, this crisis of faith. But now we have this other person, this woman that we were introduced to. We didn't quite know a lot about her. We get a lot of context. We get the whole issue from her perspective, watching Conan battle these dudes, align with them. She doesn't see like the point of their existence. You know, she's like a god in her own sense, right? And she has that perspective that she shares with the reader. I really love that idea, to be honest. And I love how obsessed she becomes throughout the issue while watching Conan take on these hordes of guys. And I love that perspective. The art was incredible as well. It's a Conan book at heart, but it has this other cool perspective I wasn't expecting. So yeah, Conan the Barbarian, solid issue. One of my favorite ones of the run as of late. And yeah, man, issue number 14 killed it, I thought.
Yeah, that book's been super consistent, right? And I thought the latest issue of Savage Sword was really cool, all gearing us up for the release next week of Curse of the Black Stone. I also love while she's you're getting it from her perspective. So there's even a point where I'm like, man, damn, she's really thirsty after some Conan right now.
She really is.
Who isn't thirsty after Conan though? Like, come on.
Yeah, I imagine he smells really bad though, man.
They all smell real bad though. Come on.
Yeah, but that's the baseline.
Like everyone smells bad in Conan's world.
I bet she don't smell that bad. Anyway, what
she does. She does.
E, did you read this one?
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with Nick. Like, I love the fact that we get the entire issue from her perspective, because it just gives us so much more insight that we don't get when we're in Conan's head, you know, because we always just hear about, you know, his adventures and what his thoughts are and why he's doing the thing he's doing. So seeing that outside perspective and kind of seeing how she interprets Conan, especially in comparison to like every other schlub that's out there, was just totally awesome. I love that we kind of got that. And then seeing that the artistic duties kind of switch from arc to arc. Man, I feel like Doug Braithwaite, especially on this arc, this is probably the most powerful he's been on the run of Conan so far. I love what he's doing. I love like the different characters that we're being introduced to. It was a fantastic issue, man. Yep. I'm not sure if you guys felt this way too, but when we were first kind of introduced to this third-party character or something, did you guys think before this issue that she was going to be a Red Sonja stand-in because they don't own the rights to that character?
I thought isn't it the Frost Giant's daughter? Isn't that who
well, yes, now I see that. Okay. But like I think we got like one of those like last page things. And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it was immediately her because Titan did that release of the Sumerian where it was like the Conan books that they do in Europe that they can't call it Conan here. And I remember reading that one and red hair, no top. That I was like, I think that's her. I'm pretty sure that's her, right?
Check. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. The only reason I didn't think that initially because some of the covers made her be more like deity-esque in a way. You know what I mean? Like so if she was more like wearing armor and all that stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, well she was always portrayed as like some kind of a god or something like that on the covers of all these books. And so yeah, Yeah, good
Well,
point.
let's
Though.
be honest. Like Red Sonja ain't wearing that much armor though.
No.
It's not
Yeah,
long.
she's got plot armor, not physical armor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's ready if anybody shoots an arrow straight at her breasts. You know what I'm saying? In fact, maybe that's what she does, is just kind of like lean into it or something like that.
Sure.
Speaking of leaning into it with your breasts, what do you think about the sweaty and smelly Conan, Stu? You keeping up with it?
Yeah, man, I love it. Like I said before, 2024 is definitely the year I became a Conan fan. But it's been fantastic. I love the like the whole story arc coming together at the Tomb of Doom. Seeing Conan kind of out of his depths there for a minute and kind of having to figure out what to do. And yeah, like you guys said, all through her eyes. And then kind of getting the setup here at the end of the story for where it's going to go next. So yeah, it's just been fantastic. One story arc to the next, and a book I've really loved and enjoyed and been able to count on issue to issue for 2024. For sure. So yeah, shout out to Jim Zub and all the artists on this.
Yeah,
book.
absolutely. It's astounding to me that he's kept me more than engaged for 14 plus issues, right?
Yep.
And Savage Sword, when he's on there, I get so excited. Like, Zub was somebody who was always like, to me, like a solid writer, but this is a whole other level. This is like what happens when you get the right creator on the right character, the right property, and you get this kind of thing. What about you, Greg?
I mean, what more can I say that hasn't already been said about this book that I did not read again?
Okay, fair enough. Easy E. What about you, man? What you think for a pick of the month?
I'm going to go a little bit what I think is going to be divisive here. But the book that I keep thinking about over and over and over from what we've read this month has got to be Power Fantasy #1. I loved that issue so much. And it's like, when I try to conceptualize it in my head, it's kind of like the thinking man's boys, right? Because we have these superpowered beings that have like ultimate control, but they question, like, should we take that control? What does this mean? Should we steer humanity in certain directions? Well, ultimately they say, yes, that's the way that we're going to go. And we kind of live through that world and kind of see as time goes on what they're dealing with and how they've kind of pushed society into a certain direction and how they're still navigating that. If you've watched The Good Place, the show, one of the main characters in this book is like the coldest, most ruthless like version of Chidi Anagonye from that story. It is so on point with that character. And I kind of love it. I've been ready for a new Kieran Gillen book to like really pop off and like get its hooks in me since Once and Future. And I'm pretty confident that this is the one. Like, this hit every little checkbox for me for a book that I'm looking for. But Stu, what about you, man? Did you read this one?
I did not, bro. I still have to.
I don't know what you think, Robbie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Robbie, I'll throw it to you because I haven't read it yet. So you go ahead, Robbie. Take it away, bro.
I mean, I don't want to step on Eric's toes or nothing. I didn't like it as much as you. I thought it was all right.
That's why I skipped Robbie.
Oh yeah, I figured. I don't know. Like, I liked some of the ideas. They're ideas I've seen played with before, right? And they're ideas I've seen played with by Gillen, right? And it almost came across to me like, oh, so this is kind of like, and I think I heard him say this is kind of like X-Men story threads that he wasn't able to really develop out or something like that, right? It's got a lot of wicked and divine energy for me too. I love Casper's work in it. Like, I think Casper Wingard is fantastic. Like, anything he does, I'm down for. And I'm excited to see. I mean, I trust Gillen and Wingard, so I'm going to keep reading this book. But for an issue #1, I was like, this is just a bunch of talking. I mean, there was a little bit of stuff in there, I guess, but I don't know. I found it a little boring, man, personally. That's just me.
Okay. Fair enough. I said divisive. I did say divisive.
Greg, did you read this one?
Speaking of boring, let's go to Greg. Man, I love that Eric is on this show because you pick books that I read, and you also pick books that I don't love either, so that way it doesn't make me look bad. So here's the deal. I did read this. The art, everything you guys said about it is great. My problem with this book is I don't think this book earned that issue yet. And what I mean by that is I don't know the characters. I don't have any buy-in into this world. And so the stakes weren't there for me as much as a reader. I didn't care about all the fact that all they were doing was talking. it didn't do anything for me because I didn't know their backstories, because this was a, you know, I could guess at who they are and what type of characters they are. I feel like it does, you know, whoever mentioned that it was like stuff in X-Men that he couldn't tell. If this was an issue in an ongoing series of X-Men, I think I would have really liked it, because I feel like the stakes would have been there and been earned for it, because I would have known the characters and known what they were talking about and arguing. I just didn't have an investment in the people yet. So for me, like, this feels like a more of a 4th or 5th issue in an arc after I've lived in this world enough to understand who they are. But obviously that's not what Karen wanted to, Karen wanted to do. And that's okay. It just wasn't, I didn't love this first issue, but I'm here for the buy-in. Like Robbie said, Karen has done enough stuff that I've loved of, Die and Once and Future that I'm here for. And the art is fantastic. So I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah. Nick, what'd you think?
Not my favorite, but it's intriguing. Our art aside, it's the art's incredible, but I don't know, a lot of talking in that one, and I just don't think it had a good opening to like the different roles that these people had necessarily. Like there was obviously some backstory with a lot of these characters that weren't quite flushed out inside the issue. So I felt myself a little bit confused as to like the power hierarchy here, especially with the first 2 characters. He was, kind of begging for her not to take him out or whatever. And there was a lot of talking going on there. I was like, what's happening here? And I was like, oh, these are like gods living among men. There's got to be a power struggle. There's got to be some stuff going on that we don't quite understand yet. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. I think this would have been a great like 2nd or 3rd issue, but not an introductory.
Absolutely.
how it turns out though.
I said 4th or 5th issue. Nick's like, it's a 2nd or 3rd
issue. Yeah. I mean, we did a lot of
you, Greg. It's a little earlier.
We needed some spoon feeding, a little bit more spoon feeding than we got.
Eric, did you want to finish up your thoughts there? I mean,
apparently I'm bear pirate Viking queening myself again here, but I'm going to stick up for this damn book because it's worth it. And
as you should.
I would say that this was a very good introductory issue. And honestly, I would have been upset if this was something that happened in X-Men, because I feel like the stakes in this book are super high, especially with what happens at the very end, which I don't want to give away, even though we can give spoilers. I think it's worthwhile, and I think it's what makes the issue. If that happened in X-Men, we all know it wouldn't mean a damn thing. It would be retconned, it would be turned around, and nothing would actually matter. In this book, the stakes can actually matter, and I'm really excited over that notion. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just bitter that I lost my my retailer thank you copy. I gave it back and so it got sold. So
ooh, yeah,
I should have kept it and flipped it. So maybe that's my bitterness there.
Maybe we'll see what happens next month if it gets brought back up or anything like that. For instance, last month I was super high on Nice House by the Sea, and no, y'all were right. You should not buy into that series at all.
Yeah,
I didn't read it, but that makes me so happy. But that makes me happy that you don't like it.
I was ready to shoot too, and I'm like, oh, damn it, it's right back to the other people. Like, you're just, come on. Now we got to deal with 24 people in this book.
Sorry, Stu, if that's your pick.
Yeah, Stu, what's your pick of the month? No. Nice House on the Sea by the Sea.
No, definitely not. So I am going to go with a book that I normally wouldn't lean towards. A book that I definitely picked up off the recommendations of the homies, Nick in particular. I'm going to go with Zatanna, Bring Down the House, #3.
Nice.
Mariko Tamaki and Javier Rodriguez on artwork. Book's been such a wonderful, pleasant surprise for me. Like I said, not usually a fan of Tamaki's work and writing, but I think the story here has been exceptional. A layered, intriguing mystery, and also, it's kind of coupled together with, her tragic and mysterious relationship with her father. So you got kind of 2 mysteries working together, both like what happened with her dad and what happened with this bigger magic collective at large. And I thought the character work in issue 3 with not only her, but like we get Bunny introduced, Bunny and the casters, and like the whole, we get a little bit more world building, a little bit more mythos added. But above all else, man, Javier Rodriguez artwork, like gorgeous inks, gorgeous colors, neons, pastels, complete fearlessness when it comes to like page design. And just like there was one page I was reading in issue 3, I think it's when she's going into like some bunny wormhole hallucination, and I'm just
Down the rabbit hole.
turning it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's just been down the rabbit hole. Thank you, Nick.
It was a bunny well. Let's be honest. It was
A bunny well. Yeah.
Bunny well, right.
Yeah, they correct her on that scene. Yeah.
But yeah, man, breath of fresh air. And then the what was it? The insane like psycho Cyclops bunny at the like that was just like the cherry.
Oh,
on
that
top.
was so gnarly.
Such-
Dude.
Yeah.
Such a fun issue. Just a joy to read, and definitely one of my top picks of the month for August.
Yeah, Zatanna is one of my favorite characters at DC, and it's cool to see a new generation of readers and comic fans kind of get introduced to that character because she's kind of niche, right? Like she doesn't always get utilized a lot. She had that run. Paul Dini did a run that was really, really freaking good. But that's we're far removed from those days, you know, and it's super cool to see people at my shop reading their first Zatanna book, really digging it because it's a great look into the world of the character, who she is, her origins. And dude, you're right, Stu. That artwork is amazing, psychedelic, freaking. I love how what did you say? You said it was like, you didn't say bold, but you was like, I don't know what the term you use for his composition, but fearless, I think is what you said, right?
Fearless with the page design. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I love that stuff, and it gives it this like trippy kind of. But even though this book is like dark, it could go darker, but they keep it a little bit light, and that's why Zatanna works for me. And then the ending, where a lot of us, you know, if you know, you know, but Zatanna and Constantine have a history, so that's going to be fun to see that explored in the future. So that's super freaking cool.
Yeah.
Greg, did you read this one? It was a DC book.
It is a DC book, which you would think.
Oh my God.
Hey, here's the deal, gang. I have issue 1 in my to read pile because of Nick talking about it on this show. I always got to read issue 1 before I like do a whole slew. So it's there to read. I read all my other issues to prep for the show. So I don't have it. I'm planning on reading it. I'm just not there yet. So I got issue 1. I'm ready for it because y'all have sold me. This is what the show does. The show makes me a better reader by experiencing more books. But no, I've not read it yet.
Yep.
Well, you know, we may not be the best at math, but we all know that you have to read issue 1 and 2 before you read.
Exactly. So
right?
I just didn't want to skip there.
Yeah.
I just haven't built up
right.
there. I had to read Archie so I could be ready for the show for you.
Yeah,
because
surely that's getting brought up. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
I love the book. Greg, I would recommend, well, just keep in context, it's a Black Label book. So when you walk into this one, you're like, wait a minute, this isn't how the characters should be. It's a Black Label book, so they can play around with things. And I think it's great. I think somebody who's been traumatized by her magical past, and we're seeing the repercussions of that, and we're seeing this magical world explode. There's other people now being involved. It's lighthearted, but there's some serious stuff in there, like you guys have been saying. The artwork is incredible. And the coloring is striking in this book. Stu, you're mentioning some like pastels and neons and things like that. The color palette's incredible in this one. And it, like Robbie was saying, it rides that fine line between like being like cartoony, but then being serious at the same time and dealing with some cool things. And so they struck a really important balance here. If any more cartoony, it would feel too hacky, you know what I mean? And so any more serious, you'd lose the allure and just the fun of the book. So yeah, they're riding that fine line really, really well. I love it.
Speaking of riding those fine white lines, what about you, Eric? I just alluded that you like cocaine.
Wow. Yeah.
You didn't touch on that.
Okay.
He's not disputing it though, Robbie. I'm just saying.
What'd you think about
Much like cocaine, I loved this book. No. So yeah, I don't know what else there is left to say. Like Javier Rodriguez's artwork, fantastic. Color palette's great. The story is fun and exciting. The only thing that I would say that I think hasn't been mentioned is because this is Black Label and it's kind of outside of continuity, I am kind of curious how they're going to play with the character that shows up in the end, because I don't want them to lean on that, because I feel like every time something magical happens in DC, it's like, oh, call that one guy over there. So I don't want them to make it like totally that character centric, but they haven't done that yet. They've like really made this as a Zatanna story. So I'm excited by that. This was a fantastic issue though. I seriously loved like every single page of it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right, Greg, let's get to a book that you've actually read. How about you tell us your pick of the month?
You know what? I loved it. I was not expecting this book to, it kind of snuck up on my radar, but it is Image and it is Stand Still. By Lee Lowridge, and art by Andrew Robinson. It is an oversized issue that you still only have to pay $5 for. So kudos to Image on that. this is one of those, I was hesitant about picking it up, right? Because it's a well-known colorist and who has crushed it in the game for years in the industry, who's now, I believe, I could be wrong, I'm guessing this is his first writing credit in a book, but this is yes. This is something that I really liked. It's this kind of idea of you have a character that you kind of find out about not halfway, a quarter into the book, that has a device that allows him to freeze time, and he can cause some shenanigans and stuff like this. And what I loved about this book too is that they played with the layouts. It's an oversized issue, but it still read like a short issue because they allowed Andrew Robinson's art, which is gorgeous. I think if you don't like the book, fine, but pick it up for the artwork in and of itself. It's fantastic. And what they allowed Andrew Robinson to do was play with the pages to allow some splash pages and things like that. That like there's not a lot of like small panels. It's big, it looks good. It feels like it's like you're in an IMAX comic almost, like the art pages on that. And it just is a fun story, right? Like it feels like a better, like someone that knew how to write a screenplay wrote for Jumpers or things like that, where they can do stuff with, this ability of stopping time. I really liked it. I like that it's an 8-issue series. So like, it's going to tell the story that that Lee wants to tell. And I just had a lot of fun with the characters. It's tropey. It was cartoony, but I just think the overall mesh of it, I was like, man, I really dug it. So it was a surprise hit for me.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick of the month, was Stand Still. Like I loved it. It took me by surprise. So it wasn't really on my radar. Right. Like I remember it in the solicitations. I ordered it the way I would typically order the average Image book, right? That, there's a difference between like Hickman launching an Image book or Brubaker launching an Image book and then like something like this, right? Yeah. Sold out immediately just because I was pushing this book. I mean, it made my pick of the week. It's my favorite book of the month. I absolutely was blown away by it. Lee Lowridge is a colorist, right?
Yeah.
His first comic writing gig was a comicsology book called Mid-State, which just
okay. So he has had writing gigs before. Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's it. And I haven't read that one, right?
Okay.
But look at who he's been coloring for, right? He's been coloring for like Dan Waters and Rom V. Like, he's able, surely just through osmosis, it's going to be decent, right? What you said about Andrew Robinson's work. By the way, I got a funny story to tell you about Andrew Robinson, but we got to do that off the air. It's a Heroes Con story. It's super fun. But so I love that you said the IMAX, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because it's a super thick issue, but it's only $5. It's not like an $8 cash grab with Hickman's name on it with Aliens versus Avengers or some bullshit like that, right? This is actually worth every.
Take that off the list real quick.
This is worth every. I mean, that's valid if y'all want to use that. That's fine. It's $5, but it's super thick. But it reads very quick. It has like a manga pace to it, right? Everything is like double page spreads. There's only like 3, maybe max 4 panels per page. Everything's big. And dude, IMAX, that's the right way to say it. Yeah, widescreen, big, boisterous, and just a cool concept. This guy can stop time and he's using it for good, but there's like this revenge purpose behind it. I was super into that character. It's one of those kind of like assholey, good-hearted characters that really, I don't know.
That opening scene with him at the bar, it's so good.
That was great, dude. Run it.
And not like, but look, like you have a double page spread like this that then goes literally the next to a double page spread like that to then another. Like they allowed them to tell the story they wanted to tell. It's like if that was in a 22 issue, sure, I'd be like, I'd feel robbed, but that felt right.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it, man. Good pick. What about you, Nick? Did you read that one?
I did read this one. I loved the art in this, and like we were just saying, the opening scene is striking, and it makes point. Not only does it like give you some context on the character themselves, but it gives you a context of the actual power being displayed here too, and how creative the person can be with it, and it could be used for revenge or whatever. We get another showcase of that power on the plane on the flight later, and he kind of like gets back at this guy who's being an asshole the whole time. The art is spectacular. I will say the first half of the book I really enjoyed. The second half, I need some more issues to give me some context about what the story is. We have this guy like looking up reports of over like Pakistan or something like that. And there's some stuff going on, and then there's some military thing happening. And I'm like, wait, who's this? Is this the same guy from the beginning? Or no, this is a different dude. And this is the blonde. She's leaving him. Is she the girl at the cafe getting the money? Like I couldn't bring those pieces together. So I'm going to need a couple issues to really solidify it, but I thought it was a striking issue for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Eric, what do you think? As good as Power Fantasy or not?
It's slightly lower on my list here, but I do think it speaks volumes to the fact that Robbie, you said this was a good-hearted guy, and Greg, you said that he was, had some.
Is it me or him?
It's usually have that effect on people. I make them at a loss for words when they mention my name. They just freeze up and get emotional.
You're back.
Oh, am I
we
back?
have no clue what you said. I'm assuming that you said,
okay.
Greg, Robbie, you're right. This book was amazing. It was fantastic.
I believe you left off at Greg is amazing with this pick.
Yes, okay, I'll pick up from there.
Yeah.
You called him good-hearted and that he got into some shenanigans, and he straight up gutted a bar full of bikers. So I'm a little bit concerned about shenanigans,
bikers.
The definition of shenanigans in your guys' book. So
they were racist.
They were racist bikers.
They were.
Homophobic racist bikers. You're allowed to call it shenanigans.
I can be anti-racist and anti-gutting at the same time, though. I can walk those lines.
That's a thin line, bro.
But it was a super fun book. Andrew Robinson's artwork is fantastic, and we don't get it enough. I think the last time that we actually saw it was The Fifth Beatle, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time since I've seen his work. So I was super excited to see that. And it's kind of funny. The thing that Nick was talking about was probably the thing that intrigued me the most, because I had a lot of fun with kind of who I assume is our main character, the guy that stops time. But when we get to that, who I assume is a CIA agent, something along those lines, that was the intriguing part. I want to know what his involvement is, and I want to know how he's getting drawn into the story, because it leaves it open-ended. We don't know yet, but these two characters are going to butt heads here. Issue 2, issue 3 coming down the line here. So it's exciting. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, and now that I remember it a little bit more fully, they weren't just racist bikers; they're racist, homophobic bikers, right? So I mean, I'm just saying it just keeps. I think, whatever. Stu,
it's well earned shenanigans.
Yes,
Robbie, you're right.
Yeah,
Stu's favorite restaurant is Shenanigans.
Shenanigans? You guys talking about shenanigans?
Nick's gonna pick the whip the next person that says shenanigans on the screen.
Stu,
get a liter of cola.
Robbie, I owe thanks to you for this one. This is definitely one I wouldn't have picked up if it wasn't for you, but I loved it. Like Lee Lawfridge's longtime fan, all his color work, a lot of his stuff at AWA, guy's a legend. So it was dope to see him in the writing chair, and I thought he did an excellent job. I agree with Nick. I'm going to need a couple more issues to see how things get fleshed out, but I just love like Greg was alluding to, the softballs he threw up for his artist, for Andrew Robinson here again and again. I thought it was really cool to see, an artist give an artist some I guess juicy sirloin to bite into. But man, it was a great first issue. Again, one I owe to the homies for another one I owe to the homies for putting on my radar. So thank y'all.
Hell yeah.
Man,
all right. For my pick, I'm conflicted here because nobody's mentioned Precious Metal yet, which is very weird for us.
I thought
because we know it's going to get mentioned.
Right?
So we want to highlight other things.
I brought it up twice. The last 2 months I brought up as my number one. So I was like, I'll cool it.
Yeah.
I'm going to let that ride a little bit further. And I'm going to go with Universal Monsters Frankenstein, issue number 1 by Michael Walsh. I loved, first of all, Skybound. When I get to the publisher of the year towards the end of the year, I think I'm going to be no, not just Image, Skybound in particular, right?
Yeah,
Skybound's been killing it with the Energon universe and then all the Universal Monster stuff. Okay, so Universal Monsters Dracula. I loved that book, and I love that it was telling the story within the scenes of the original movie, right? Then we get to Creature from the Black Lagoon. We got Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. Rom V, Dan Waters, super excited. Honestly, I was a little disappointed in that book, right? I was I don't know, I don't know if it quite landed for me.
Yeah.
So then I was kind of nervous, okay, so what's going to happen here? If Rom and Dan can't pull off Creature, what's Michael going to do with Frankenstein? Man, he killed it. Killed it. Once again, kind of like Dracula. And I think this should be kind of like the vibe of what they do is tell a story within the story, right? So we're getting the story of this kid whose dad is one of the corpses that the Frankenstein monster's body is built from, in particular his hand, right? So while the bits of the first act of the movie are going on, this kid is witness to all of it, right? And Michael Walsh, who we already know is a fantastic artist, his work on Silver Coin is great. It'd be great if that book came back, you know. That book had like an up and down inconsistency because of the different writers, but Michael knows how to write, right? And then what was her name? I don't have it in front of me. Tony something was the colorist. I can't remember the name.
Tony Marie Griffin.
Yeah, absolutely amazing, striking, visually stunning. Those moments, the moments of like the electricity coming down, infusing the monster with life, right? The moments of Dr. Henry Frankenstein, because in the Universal Monsters it's Henry, not Victor. When he does his whole "I'm alive, it's alive, it's alive," even though the one thing that does bother me, one of my favorite lines in that movie was a very like line that was very much like pissed people off back in like 1931, and it was, and he says, "In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God." They kind of shortened it to, he goes, "Now I know what it's like to be God," or something like that. But I love the syncopation of "in the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God." But that moment, all of that was so freaking striking when the kid first sees the monster, right? And the monster's like looming over him, and knowing what we know about this book and looking at the cover, you see the flowers and all that kind of stuff, knowing what we know about the movie. Dude, I don't think it's going to end well for this kid, but we're going to see. But I loved it. I thought it had the tone and the atmosphere, and Frankenstein is a melancholy story, right? It's so dark. And I think this was incredibly respectful of James Whale and what he did in that original movie, and all of the performers like Dwight Fry as Igor, like seeing him in there like that, or Fritz, my bad. Seeing him as Fritz, Igor comes later. It's Bela Lugosi. And also in Young Frankenstein.
Walk this way, master.
But no, I loved it. I thought the visuals were striking, and I really liked the idea of going back into the story within a story that we didn't quite see. So what do you think, Nick? Did you read Frankenstein?
Yeah, actually, I read it earlier today, and I agree. I think I like this approach much better than I saw them execute Creature from the Black Lagoon. So like we got Dracula, and that was a really cool like side story in a way, like that gave us some more context to these characters, and so I like that approach. And so when I read this, I'm like, oh, we're taking the same story we know and love, but we're going to be twisting it a little bit. We're adding this kid element to it, so we have someone to live the story through. We have a fresh set of eyes on here, things like that. And I dug the story. I like that perspective a lot. The cover is striking. I love cover A on this thing. It's beautiful. Interior artwork is great. We talked about the lighting and things like that with the coloring and whatnot. I thought that was handled really well. So so far I like it much. I like it way better than anything I saw in the previous Universal Monster run. So I'll be reading this one going forward. Yeah.
There's a piece of me that still wants to like read the Rom and Dan thing. But I think the biggest problem is they tried to do a direct sequel set today. And it wasn't about the Gill Man.
It wasn't about him. Yeah.
It was, I don't know. I don't like admitting it when they do something that I don't like. You know,
it's okay.
Hey, no, it's not. Rom's never going to be back on the channel. Anyway,
he understands. Can we clip this part real quick just so we can tag Robbie? Like,
this is going to be the short. Like, y'all all going to post the same.
Rob's
short.
going to come on my show now. Robbie, suck it.
Eric, did you read Walsh's Frankenstein?
I did, man. And I'm glad that you brought up the Silver Coin too, because I opened the book up and page one just made it brought me right back into loving Michael Walsh again. I was just like, oh, this is what I've been missing for the last 2 years. It's kind of cool. I was listening to an interview actually with Michael Walsh that came out right before issue 1 dropped. And he was talking about how with Skybound, they have all of these agreements in place with Universal where they can't step on anything that is in continuity with the movies. It has to be faithful to that. So it's almost like they have to choose these ancillary characters like the son in this, one, to kind of act as their main character to walk through this, the story that we already know how it's going to start and finish. So it's a really, really cool way that they're approaching the story. I loved it. The color palette, like you guys said, was awesome. I loved how it was like very pale colors for the most part, but then they bring in like the sickly greens for everything, obviously for, the monster himself, but even just everything around there seems to have like this hue of like this light shade of green all around it. Really effective story, really fantastic issue. I'm definitely along for the ride.
Stu, what are you thinking?
Yeah, right there with you guys. I thought it was great. First issue, And a great, pick me up after. I agree with you guys about Creature of the Black Lagoon. It didn't hit, as and Dracula was such a high bar for these books coming out first, but this one was fantastic, man. I thought the inclusion, just that simple inclusion of what if the parts of Frankenstein is made by this boy's father, and we put him in this, that little bit of simplicity adds so much complexity to the story. I love, like you guys said, about the art and the coloring. I feel like all the dynamic and amazing moments of this comic was a lightning flash or a bolt or a spark coming out. It was those great moments. And man, I was still wondering, is this going to be the Frankenstein? Like, because we had the cover, of course, but like with this boy's father, is this going to be the Frankenstein we know and recognize, or is this going to be something new? And when they revealed, like, it was like good old Frank, but like that twist and that scene with the hand outstretched and him holding on, just, man, chef's kiss. That was poetry. That was a beautiful beautiful touch there late in the book. So yeah. I'm all in, dude.
I wonder if one of the problems with The Creature Lives was the art, right? Because you got Martin Simmons on Dracula, you got Michael Walsh here, and the art in that one just doesn't fit in that lineup, does it? Like, I mean, no offense to the artist, I can't remember his name, Matthew something, I think, but I don't know. Like, visually, it didn't look any different than any generic book from Mad Cave or IDW or Dynamite. Like, it just looked generic, right? And that was something that really bothered me.
Well, there was zero emotion in that story too. I didn't feel anything for any of the characters. I didn't care about her. I didn't care about her revenge mission against the guy who tried to kill her. I didn't care about any of it.
In the original film, you actually care about the Gill Man. You feel like, oh, he's just in love, and they got that like swimming sex dance that they do or whatnot. Like, play with that, dude.
And he was barely in the book, so it was like, oh my god.
I know, he was barely. It's about a serial killer. Like, it's like
that turns into him at the end.
Fish or some shit.
What are you doing? Ron, we love you.
They took the missing link thing too far, dude. The whole evolutionary connection there. I don't know. Greg, did you read Frankenstein?
Cut that out.
Matthew Robertson was Creature from the Black Lagoon. I was just doing some research. So Gore Graham, screw you. I do read comics. I realize I just don't read Nick's recommendations. It was Nick's comic, and then Stu picked Nick. So that's all it is. Okay. Also, are we still recording? Because Rom, Dan, I love y'all. Creature was great.
I loved it.
Frankenstein. Here's what's interesting. You all are commenting on, like whether it sticks to the movies, the original. I'm reading these comics. Never have seen any of the Universal monster movies.
Right, we don't need that.
Seriously, what are we even doing here, man? Like, come on.
Listen, I'm just trying to keep it honest here, right? Like, y'all come in with your picks, trying to make this like an Academy Award Oscar show of like, it's got to be an art house awards. It's got to be an art house pick. Like, listen, I'm here to bring comics sometimes that everyone loves a good twisters every once in a while. Like, you need the popcorn flick. So, but no, I haven't seen those movies. I'm hesitant so Robbie doesn't pull me off screen again. I'm not a big horror fan, which is why I'm not on Robbie's show a lot outside of this.
We're gonna have to bring you on for some Horrorfest, bro. That's what
we're watch it. You literally say, like, I want you to watch this movie, and I'll never seen it, and you'll get a honest reaction of someone who's never seen it. So for me, I don't know like how much it ties into it. My extent of Frankenstein and Dracula and stuff are where they're in the movies with Abbott and Costello. So
those are great movies, dude.
They're great movies. And The Invisible Man, like, I'm just telling you, that's my framework of who these characters are. I liked it. Like what you guys said about, having this boy who's grieving the loss of his father. And, I can relate to that aspect of, having that, not even at that age, though, like that's powerful. Though that tugs on my heartstrings. And then to see like the whole process of like, oh, snap, like, this creature is being made from parts of his, different people, and like the hand. I'm invested emotionally into this character of what the dynamic is. Is a Frankenstein, is Frankenstein's monster going to understand what the boy is feeling and kind of going through? And I don't know, because I haven't seen the movies, and I don't even know if the boy's in the movies. This is all new uncharted territory for me.
The boy's not in the movie.
Okay.
I'll let you know that. Yeah.
All right.
It's a
Good.
new element, but everything else outside of the boy, that's in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I really like you
That's
mentioned
a classic movie, dude. I mean, I'm just like,
I'm not saying I don't. I
that's
listen. I
it's
haven't
just
seen the
crazy
movie.
to me. You've never seen. It's okay.
I
okay.
There's like
read,
3 characters.
I did read one of the Dracula comic book. The oh shoot, who he did Kareem Shadeen or did the Bela Lugosi story or Lugosi? I'm butchering names. I'm sorry.
Lugosi.
But like I love that comic and like I made me want to watch those Dracula movies. I just haven't gotten to yet. So
All right. That's fair. That's fine.
I'm just giving. I'm being honest,
dude.
It's what
I'll be
people
honest with you,
want.
man. Let me be honest, man. I envy you because you get to watch them for the first time.
I'm going to.
I love those movies ever since I was a kid.
They're
though.
incredible, man.
And I'm just super into them, man. They're like, and we always do one every Horrorfest. This year, it's
How do you say his name? How do you say his name?
Bela Lugosi.
Lugosi. So I said Lugosi. Lugosi.
Lugosi.
Tomatoes. Tomatoes.
Lugosi. I love it. I love it. And it's also, by the way, everybody pronounced Frankenstein.
That's awesome.
So there you go. All
Frankenstein.
right. Have you seen Young Frankenstein?
I've only seen Young Frankenstein.
Oh man.
Okay. All
I
right.
saw,
All right.
I saw Young on Broadway in New York. It was so good.
Oh,
Oh my
what?
God.
That's
so
sick.
awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
that's
That's
I
amazing.
Kendall back.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
So good.
Wow.
Hey Verno, you got to bring
Verno.
Greg onto your show because he's never really watched a lot of horror movies. He especially any Bela Lugosi ones.
Lugosi ones.
You guys ever seen Bela Lugosi? He's closely related
Community
to
theater
DuckTales
version.
and things like that.
Yeah.
All right, round 2. This is the round where you lead your chat, Eric. Okay, this is the round where
This is
you
the
lead
round.
the chat.
Got
This
it.
is the round. All right.
This one? Okay.
This one, but you're not first. It's Nick. So like, don't step on Nick's fucking dick. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so my pick. Oh, okay.
Not hard to do.
And people think we're not comedic. All right, Nick, why don't you go ahead?
All right, I'm going to pick this one because I know it's going to piss off one person in my comments. Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, issue number, what is this, 3 right here. Gary Dugan on this one. We have Brown O'Halloran, and I love the story, to be honest with you. I think it might not be super original, but I can't think of another comic that I can really relate it to. But basically what we have here is we have this purgatory type land. We have all these different warriors from across time, across cultures and whatnot. Whenever they died, for whatever reason, they land in this place, and every single night they have to fight like this unending horde of monsters, right? There's this one dude that's leading the army right now, but we have 2 characters, this cowboy and this samurai, who are they just entered this land at the same time, and this is their journey basically into becoming a couple through here, through really dramatic means. This particular issue, though, kind of steps it up a little bit and has some shocking things in here, leading the samurai lady to actually save our cowboy. And we really get to see their relationship start to blossom in here. But what I love, though, is there's tons of action. The art is spectacular in here, too. It's really raw. There's just so many cool things going on. And I like the idea of them being like this couple that has to run away from this inevitability. And they're going to have to fight this entire army at some point because, you know, they're turning against them. They're turning against their mission. And I love seeing that whole thing unfold right there. So Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, issue number 3 is my second pick of the month. Eric, and did you read this one? I know you did. What'd you think about this one?
I already left a comment on your video. You know exactly.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, no.
No.
I did not read this one. I read issue 1. I read issue 2. I felt like it was kind of dragging for me personally a little bit. If superstar writers Ram V and Dan Waters were on the book, I might have stuck along for the ride because they're fantastic and I love everything that they do. But I didn't read this issue.
Are you gonna throw shade at Jerry Duggan like that, bro? Damn,
Man,
like,
we're not-
I'm not
over
afraid.
what
I'm
he
not
did.
afraid to show.
I
throw
can't
shade that
get
way.
over the fact that this is like, I know it's not his fault, but he's the one who took over X-Men after Hickman left. And I don't know if I can ever get on board again with that guy.
Really? Yeah, this one was a wild card for me, though, man. Like I didn't know what I was going to expect. And I was blown away by the first book. And then the second one came out and I'm like, oh, this is where we're going in this direction. This is going to be really cool. And this third one is classic 3rd issue style for me. So I love that. But Stu, man, what'd you think about this one? Did you read it?
Yeah, man, I loved it. The second one I was kind of like iffy about, but this is the one that for sure sold me. You know what I mean? And I love that they're kind of in just this land of the dead, and they're, homeboy's in this situation where it's like, okay, every day this army of undead comes charging through that waterfall, and we have to fight them. And he's like, no, this is dumb. I've already died once. What am I doing? Kind of just like leaves, and it wants no part of it. And his samurai like girlfriend, I guess we'll call her, sees him getting beaten up for that and decides to defend him, and it goes from there. But I love a little bit of character development we're getting, and these like little cool moments. But most of all, the art, I thought, in this issue, more so than the other two, was just fantastic, man. From color work to line work, from to the battle scenes, to those two just pitching tent for the night and making a campfire. I thought it was fantastic. So issue 3 was definitely one that sold me on this series.
Yeah, they have a good range in this one too, because there's a lot of quiet moments. There's some moments where everything is calm. The paneling is neat. It's still got that chaotic penciling and stuff, though, right? And the coloring is really cool.
Absolutely,
it's got this sketchy vibe to it, but it's got such a range and emotion throughout the issue, especially with one particular scene. But they have these quiet scenes where they're just kind of hanging out by a campfire, but then they have scenes where, like, they're fighting this monster horde coming out of Death Mountain. So
it's
like,
very much like Ain't No Grave in that way, where it's like they can do these dramatic big landscapes, but then they can bring it in tight and still give you that like emotive realness. Like I just love that about this.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Greg, did you read this one? I think you mentioned in the comments you didn't, but
listen, you and Stu both loved it. So no, I did not.
So no, you didn't read this one. I'd recommend it, man. It's pretty good.
It is one I'd heard people were hesitant on the first issue. It's something I missed, and so I haven't gone back yet. I'll definitely pick it up in trade, and then moving forward, if I'm in after the trade, I'll go on with it. I'm not opposed to it. So
what's interesting about the first issue versus like the second and third is the first issue gives you barely a taste of what the story is even about. You get introduced to the two characters.
And that's, I think, why I was hesitant a little bit. People weren't like, I didn't get like raving reviews on that first issue to like, you got to check this out. And so because I missed it, I didn't go back. And so now I'm kind of like, okay, they'll put a trade out in 2 more issues, and then I'll catch up.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you don't like it after like issue 2, if you don't like the direction they're going, then it's probably going to be safe to say like, okay, it's just, they're just going to fall in love,
right?
And they're going to have to fight this thing. But like, I thought,
man, I'm a sucker for love though. So,
hey, man, it's right up your alley then. Right up your alley. Robbie, man, did you read this one? I know you just kind of mentioned maybe you didn't. So what's going on with this book with you?
Oh no, I read it. I actually like the book. I do. Like, all joking aside, but Jerry Dugan following up Hickman on X-Men, I mean, that's always going to be a blight on his career. Sometimes I think that he can be a little overly verbose, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not about the length of the words, like the amount of words, but sometimes about the pacing, right? And his pacing with his dialogue doesn't always work for me. I think it actually works here, but a lot of that I think has to do with the art. I love the art. I love the stories. I love where they basically do their version of the GIMP scene from Pulp Fiction going on there, right? Like, there's nothing better than the threat of some GIMP action. But I really liked the book. I think so far it's been solid. I don't want to like it. I don't want to like anything that Jerry Dugan does, but I do like the book. I do think it's good. So I think it's a good pick.
Let it go, man. Let that hate go, man.
I know. Life's too short,
the
man.
X-Men books still suck. I'm just
they're all bad. Yeah, they're all bad.
No one's ever going to follow Hickman successfully. That's not going to happen.
We need Grant back. Just let Grant cook. That's what. No way that's ever happening. Gary Brown. That's who the artist is, right?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
And O'Halloran's on it too for color. Yeah, it's so good. Really good. Yep. That's it for me. Eric, what's up?
Eric,
you got it next, right?
This is your shit, Eric. This is it now. It's your time now.
My time.
Best new channel, best unknown channel. By the way, doesn't it suck? It's got to suck to be nominated for best unknown channel. At least you haven't been in the game for 5 years. Like, if Greg was nominated for best unknown, I bet
I'd still lose that shit.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what fits that criteria. I feel like I'm pretty known. You guys know me, but that's okay. Let's go.
Wait, you have a YouTube channel?
It was you. It's all your shenanigans. I get it. Let's go with Black Cloak, the reintroduction to the series here.
There you go.
I was super stoked by this. I'm a huge fan of Kelly Thompson as a writer, and I think that she did a fantastic job here. In fact, I think this is probably the best issue of the series so far. after the first arc had ended. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about a reintroduction to the series and how they were going to take it, but I was fully invested. I was like in the story now, and where we really pick up from is that our main character is no longer a Black Cloak, and she was kind of the catalyst for a lot of change, we'll say, in the world that they're living in. And now she's kind of just staying on the outskirts, not part of society as much as she was, but she's being pulled back into the fray now. So you see her old partner shows up. You kind of see how the world has changed. You see how their relationship has changed. And there's a murder that happens that they got to go solve. The artwork is so outside of the norm of what we get from modern comics nowadays too, where it almost leans into almost like a webtoons kind of vibe with it as well. And hi, Nick, it's just me and you.
Oh man, I was gonna do the bit.
Yeah, so I just really love the reintroduction of all of this, all the characters, reintroducing this world here. I think it was just a really effective way to bring us back into this world. But Stu, speaking of reintroductions here, did you read Black Cloak?
Yeah, man. This yet another one I read off the strength of your solid recommendation on your Monday morning review show. It definitely. I was in and out on the. I did finish the first arc, but I was in and out. But I agree with you, man. I thought this is like such a strong reintro to the title. Such a strong issue. I think overall, like I don't know if I want to call it the strongest issue yet, but I think time will tell. It was fantastic, and it's got a murder mystery that you're immediately into, and you don't. I feel like you could not have read 1 through 6, pick this up no problem, and kind of like
Maybe.
at least know a little bit about the world and where we're going. So yeah, I agree with all the things you said, man. And this was another one, like I was kind of in and out on the first series. I know Nick liked it, and that was the reason why I gave it a shot. But this was like not one I was necessarily like super excited for coming back around, but this new issue definitely like pushed my excitement up over the peak where it would have been, and I'm definitely looking forward to 8 and seeing where this story and this mystery goes, and these characters as well.
Yeah, well, and that's interesting too, because I had pretty much the same experience. I enjoyed the first arc. I can't say that I loved it, and I was really on the fence. I was like, do I want to spend more time in this world? And like this issue had proven that, yeah, I definitely do. But
let me ask y'all this: like the covers were so beautiful for this series. Initially, like on the outside looking in, by the time I got to it, we were at issue 4 or 5. I was expecting the interior art to be something completely different based on those covers. And so that was a little bit of a jarring transition for me when I first started reading the book. I don't know if that was the same for y'all, but
I don't remember
like,
that dichotomy, so I'll have to go
the
back
covers were just so so elegant and ethereal.
He
and
counted one of them, yeah.
Yeah,
it
was just like it was a different type of aesthetic, but I don't know. The art and the interiors was kind of like a whole different vibe. So
you're saying there's like a bait and switch going on, you thought there in a way?
Not necessarily. I don't even want to call it that because I don't think it's not nefarious, but
yeah, well, right. But
it just felt
okay.
A non-nefarious bait and switch.
Yeah. Not a Marvel.
That's what, isn't that what all covers do though?
we got this. Very true. We got this guy for three title, 3 issues, and then we're gonna put somebody else on the
Redcoat has sharks on it. There's no sharks in this issue.
Is there not a shark in that
good
issue?
call. Okay. But I see what you're saying though, because Kelly Thompson had The Call that was coming out at the same time, and the artwork was so vastly different, but they were both being solicited around the same time. So I can see maybe if that had an impact at the time, as But Gregory, Mr. Bearded, did you read this issue?
Y'all know I love Kelly Thompson. I actually had Kelly on the show. We talked about Black Cloak. Where's Gore? Gore Grimm. But I completely forgot this issue came out. So, hey, Gore, I did not read this issue, so this is to you.
Oh, things are getting dangerous now.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Robbie, how about you, man?
No, I didn't read it. I am a huge Kelly Thompson fan as well. Heart-shaped box is amazing. Jim and the Holograms, one of the greatest licensed comics of all time.
Jeff the Shark.
Jeff the Shark, absolutely. Her Black Widow run's pretty solid. Her Captain Marvel run, whatever, her Hawkeye run is amazing with Leonardo Romero and Jordi Belair. That was like one of my favorite books in like 2017, I think, right? But Black Cloak was one. I remember reading the first issue, not being impressed. I never read another one. And to be honest, when I heard you mention Kelly Thompson, I was halfway paying attention. I was really excited. I thought you were talking about Powerpuff Girls. Because issue 2 this month was awesome with Mojo Jojo, and it all ends with him having a tea party with Bubbles. So that was great. But no, I did not read this one.
Man.
Okay.
All right.
Nick, you're up. Did you read this?
I did. I liked the volume 1 as well. So great sci-fi fantasy detective story. So if you're into that kind of stuff, they do a really good job of building out this world too. It's got a pretty complex story, I think, in that first volume. There's some parts where it kind of veers off here and there. The art is spectacular. I really like the interior artwork on volume 1, and they carry it over inside of this one too, to the point where you see some of the gruesome scenes in this issue here, and they're striking because of that red palette that they have, and everything is just like because it's kind of like it's misleading in a way, because the art style is a little bit it's like soft, and all of a sudden you get a gruesome scene, you're like, oh shit, okay, it's kind of stands out a little bit. So they do a good job of balancing all that stuff. Yeah, I was excited to come back into the issue for sure and see where these characters were. I would have loved like an issue right before this one that was focused more on like what she's been up to and her backstory and things like that. They jump right back into the next case with her ex-partner, and things are out of hand. He really needs her expertise, and he pulls her back in, and she starts going into the crime scenes and doing her stuff. And of course, that's big giant monster, right? So yeah, I like what I've seen so far. It's gonna be kind of cool to see where this could possibly go. And yeah, we'll see if we can recreate the magic from the first volume in this one here.
Cool. Yeah, that's fingers crossed on that one.
Yep,
so
sure.
I assume she spent 5 years just chilling with the mer people, living her best life. So
the violent killer mer people that she got on the good side of.
So is it something, Eric, that Eric and Nick, like would you recommend this to me?
I think from like a sci-fi fantasy element, I think you might enjoy it.
Read the first volume. I think you should read the first volume, because I really did like it, and I'm really mad that I just missed it. So
okay,
it does a really fantastic job marrying fantasy, detective noir, and sci-fi together, which I mean, that's a really hard task to do and give everything kind of its time to shine, and I think it does it really well.
And the world building is good too.
I will say, I do think it reads really well as a trade. I didn't read it in single issues. So like DC Patrol said in the chat, like the artwork scared him off on this, and like that was kind of for me. And I'm in all honesty, like when I had Kelly on the show, I was like, I need a prep. And that's how I always do. I read everything I can. And I read Black Cloak. I'm like, this is great. I love it. Because this, and like I learned to love the artwork for the story that was being told. So yeah, I think you would like so I want to read this issue. I'm bummed I didn't.
I think it's a solid, B story. It's a solid B comic for sure.
Yep.
It's not going to blow you away, but it's something that's like, okay, I'm not mad I read that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're not going to be upset that you read it.
Right.
No.
All right. I'll read the first trade of Black Cloak. The rest of y'all who haven't need to read Jim and the Holograms by Kelly Thompson, right? Or at least Heart-Shaped Box. But
it's Nirvana.
No, I'm not talking about the Nirvana thing.
Oh, okay.
Eric, you did a great job there, buddy. That's good. That's good.
You definitely, my time is up.
You redeemed yourself, Eric.
Yeah, everybody go and vote right now at the CBC Awards for this show, for Nick, for Fable, for Two Gun Pedro. Give
me
a
and
pity
Stu?
vote. Yeah, give a
write-in vote.
Go figure.
Yeah, I mean, well,
go figure.
Go figure.
And go give a pity vote for Jelani and Brooks over there.
For best figure review or whatever.
Jelani got so excited about being nominated for best like statue or toy review. He was like, he called his parents, right? And then he goes, I'm against Jim Mint. And I was like, yeah, he always wins that one. We're gonna see what we can do. So
he's got 100,000 subs.
Vote, please. That would be great. Stu, you're up. You have the reins of PCP.
Let me get to the list here. All right. So man, still a lot of great books to go through. I'm gonna go Batman Dark Age #5. Guys, I love this one. It opened with one of those lyrical, poetic Mark Russell narrations with Martha Wayne and her struggles about mental health. Painting her as someone through all her philanthropy and work throughout the world who, saw the world and felt its pain and let too much of it in. And I just thought it was just some beautiful narration there at the beginning. What he does best, I thought, what we saw a lot of in Traveling to Mars, and what made that book so great. Just kind of opens our issue here. Then Allred's artwork takes center stage. We get a great fiery Batman and Robin rescue, and Batman trying to petition the Justice League for help against Ra's al Ghul and saving Gotham. And then you realize we kind of get like that tie-in about like, you know, everything's ending and, you know, this is all pointless. The Anti-Monitor is coming in to dissolve the universe, and, you know, there's no why try to save Gotham when you can't save the planet. So Batman's basically on his own, right? He's got to take out Ra's on his own, and just the whole journey of him discovering how to do that, and, you know, kidnapping Falcone and realizing that's not going to work, and then like really just getting gangster with. I don't want to ruin the issue, but like, you know, the things he does to kind of like pin Ra's down is amazing. And I just love the quote towards the end, "I'm not the boy you trained in the jungle." And dude, Allred just went crazy throughout this issue. So many great scenes, whether it was action. I especially love the full like close-up facial shot of the Joker we got at the very, like, I think the last page of this issue.
Yeah,
is just
at the very end.
so gorgeous, man. So this series just continues to be so excellent. Such a wonderful Elseworlds take on the Batman and the mythos and everything that goes into him. And it's just been such a joy to read. And Allred, you can tell, is having so much fun. And Russell is just, you know, sometimes he gets a little too funny or a little too satirical, and it doesn't work. But here I feel like he's shifting gears when he needs to. Everything's going in the right direction, and this book has been such a joy issue to issue. So Batman Dark Age #5, Mark Russell, Mike Allred is my second pick of the month.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Go. All right, going on to Greg. I swear to God, you son of a bitch, you better have read this one. Batman Dark Age #5. You read it?
Where's Gore? Screw
There
that.
better be Drano. There better be Drano in
Greg's about to
there.
get sloshed.
Mark Russell book, like I feel like if any creator would pay me to hype them up, it's Mark. But he wouldn't. Because
he won't do it.
He won't do it.
Man,
yes, I absolutely. This book was great. I love the Allred's art on it. It's fantastic. You know, I do love that you're getting to see some bits of the Superman space age, right? When you get the Justice League and that panel where you had Flash working on the ships in the bottle again. Yeah. I was just like, oh, it's so good. Just
so
like
good, man.
This is Flash in the same world, right?
Yes, it's in the same world. And and the goal is to then do Wonder Woman next.
Okay.
So
I've heard Mark say that it's not the same world, which just gets me confused. So I'm just every time I hear that, I'm like, what? He said no.
I feel like I'm like hyping up my own. When I talked to Mark in January, Batman Dark Age was the same. He said it's in the same universe, which is why you see the same elements of the characters of Justice League, like the Flash working on the bottle. It's in the same world, and he wants to eventually do a Wonder Woman,
right? To do the Trinity,
and do the Trinity in that.
Gotcha.
And so we'll see if that's still the case. I kind of always talk with Mark in January, but I love this. I think it's great. I kind of, the Allred's artwork for me kind of took me a little bit because I didn't grow up reading Mad Men. I'm now falling in love with that art style.
Yeah, man.
As like a new reader, where I'm like, I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, probably. And it's great. I love the characterization of what you're seeing with the fire suits of Batman and things like Robin, like the cliche, like token, like Batman 66 stuff that you get a little bit. I like that they're doing a little bit of the Martha Wayne and Arkham Asylum stuff that you saw in the Batman and some other iterations in comics where there was that as well. I will say, dear Lord, I hate the Riddler's costume in this universe. I hate it. I'm sorry. It is the deepest V I've ever seen in my life. It's something that Eric would wear to a comic shop. I know it. I know it is.
Free comic book day. Free comic
book day. He's gonna wear a green deep V. But this has just been a lot of fun. I I do like how they did with this one, where it's not the 3 issues, the oversized spacing out that Space Age Superman was, where it's a little bit more of like, hey, we're going to give you a little bit more issues, but we're going to lower the price and we're going to space it out a little bit, not as much as we did with Superman. And I appreciate that as a reader, because like, man, I can't stay up to date with what's happening all the time. So like it, I think one of the comments was it delayed? I don't think it's delayed as much as, but it's not like a monthly book that's coming out.
Bi-monthly, right?
It's bi-monthly.
I think it's bi-monthly.
Yeah, well, it's 40 pages too, so it's like,
so you're still getting a lot of stuff that in there, but it's not like Superman Space Age. It's the same length as what Batman's going to be, but that was in 3 issues. So it's a lot less on that spin. And I loved it, man. A great pick.
Oh yeah. Robbie, how about you, sir?
There are a handful of creators that when I got into them in the 90s as a teenager changed what I thought comic books could be, right? Mike Allred is one of those people. Like reading Madman really affected me and how I viewed comics and the medium and what can be done. Now, I know a lot of people look and they see like this retro pop art type style, and that's exactly what he does. I mean, he's a big fan of stuff from like the 50s and things like that. And he wears those influences on his sleeve. And his wife, Laura, her coloring, she's one of the best colorists out there. Like we always talk about Jordi Belair and Dave Stewart and Tamara Bonvillain, and they deserve all the accolades. They deserve all the roses. But Laura Allred, she is a master colorist, right? And she mostly just colors her husband nowadays, right? But she does amazing work. So does Mike. And the way that he works with his pen is amazing. Like his brush stroke, I'm assuming he uses brushes because of the thickness I see in the line, but absolutely stellar. His work is always amazing, and I always check it out. And just like Greg not liking the Riddler costume, I fucking hate the Penguin costume. He's got that stupid
I was
beak
about
thing.
to say that one,
He's
dude.
got that stupid beak thing on his hat or whatever. It's
like the
dumb.
fake beak glasses. It's wild.
Yeah, that's in on his glass.
It's a swing and a miss
stupid.
on that. Yeah,
God.
for sure.
But his Catwoman looks great.
He's not a girl, Robbie.
Yeah, Catwoman.
His Batman is great. His I loved Superman Space Age. And when Superman Space Age came around, we were like, so this is like a Silver Agey type thing. And it has its start there, but it moves through. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I love Pariah as the CEO of Wayne Enterprises. Yeah. It's just so ridiculous.
Everyone's counting money, and he's like, "We're all gonna die next week."
I know. I
like, it's his thing. I love Lucius Fox at the board meeting. Like, what's up with him?
Is he okay? Is he okay?
I love it when he dives into the humor and the satire. Right? That's what I like. Because if he doesn't do that, I think sometimes his messaging can be too heavy-handed. Yeah. But he does it in a way. I mean, I'm not saying he's the Voltaire of the comic book industry today, but he's pretty close. If anybody gets
if he's not, who is?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why we're award winning here at Pop Culture Philosophers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Eat your babies,
we
people.
read Voltaire because of high school. No, but I like.
Where's Gore? Where's Gore? Gore, I have not read Voltaire.
Gore's just going to be the face of your atonement, dude, for everything.
I like it, Stu. I'm done.
All right. My bad. On to you, Nick. I forgot I was hosting. Nick, on to you, brother.
No, I loved it too. What's funny is 2 people now brought up the fact that they hated somebody's costume in this, and nobody said Robin's costume in the beginning of this book because it was Batman's costume, but with an R on his chest. And then halfway through the book, it changes into like the green and the yellow and whatever. And I'm like, wait, he got a costume change halfway through this book, and I didn't even realize it.
It's way better than the Flash's costume in the movie, right? When the other Barry has to make his costume out of the old Batman's costume.
Oh, yeah, but I love this one. Like in a world where we're completely saturated with Batman books, this one I don't know. It's just like so pure and genuine, and it's just so fun to see a reimagination of all these characters. And we're getting to the same place, just in a different way, and it's creative and it's fun. And sometimes they introduce characters I don't even see them coming, and then halfway through, I'm like, oh, well, clearly that's so and so, and they just changed the story a little bit, and they've added that twist now, and it's just really cool. It's really a creative thing that he's doing right here in a world where there's just so many Batman books. It stands out. So that's
Nick, you say that like a bad thing.
Well, what
I think I read like 3 Batman books this week, and I'm like, what the hell's happening?
What I like is like, and it's no.
There should
it's-
be so many more Batman books.
and
than
it's
there
no
is.
shock to have
Wait.
different interpretations of Batman's origin, right?
Yeah.
But in all those books,
Yeah.
it's usually the same type origin, right?
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
this
yeah,
one,
yeah.
like the road to being Batman, is way different and
Right,
just
going
way
to the
different. I appreciate it.
war.
Yeah, and
it-
how,
it-
like the punk ass
feels like
troubled
an
kid, like
Elseworld.
locked up and stuff.
Yeah,
It feels like an Elseworld without it, like with the Elseworld label, like which is
Mhm.
weird because they now have that.
yeah. So
Again.
why are they not using? I don't understand. It's so weird. Like,
I-
what's the
that's so
Elseworld
true.
branding for? Like, I don't know.
I don't
So
know.
weird.
It's
What-
for Batman versus vampires. That's what it's for, Robbie.
One thing I fear is we only have 6 issues, right? This is only gonna be 6 issues, and this
Yep.
is issue 5. And I'm like, oh boy, how are we gonna wrap this up in 40
Yeah,
days?
true,
So what's
man.
gonna be like? I'm gonna be sad to see it go because I'm having so much fun reading this. Like I want it to be 8, 10 issues. And I know when we talked to him, Greg, when Stu and Eric and I talked to him, he was telling us about the fact that like he wants to tell more of the story. You know,
Yeah.
he has much more to say, but he's constrained. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
bummer to see it go. We're having a good time with it.
It
Good-
is. It is.
So Nick and Stu and I, Robbie, have you talked to Mark yet? Come on.
No, I have
Robbie.
not. I'm going after Mike and Laura instead. So
Mm.
Nice.
Uh,
oh yeah.
Robbie, then I heard you talking. Look what I just picked up for $20 at Half Price Books.
Bruh!
Nice.
You'll
let's
make me so proud
go.
when you read that.
Dude,
unless you
I've
don't
never
like
read
it.
any Madman stuff, so I'm
Dude,
super.
Oh,
it's
wow.
so good.
Nice.
So much fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely. E,
because
how
of
about
Robbie,
you,
I
bro?
picked up the floppies, man. Back in the
Yeah,
day.
I do have the
that's
got
crazy.
the floppy's got the front and the back covers. Like in the list of cover artists he has on that is absolutely ridiculous. So
Yeah, in
definitely
fact, I
recommend.
posted one, and then you used to were like, "There's a Frank Miller variant on the back."
There's a
there."
Frank Miller on the back
I'm
of
like,
that, bro.
damn
Yeah.
And then, and you can also find the Man trading cards, right? Because there was
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody who is like the best workers in
It's
this
crazy.
industry are a part of. They all love Mike's work. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's so
It's
much Alex Toth, a little bit of Jack
Mhm.
Kirby. It's stiff. It's got that Ditko-esque kind of flair to it, but man, it's so kitschy. I love it. I love
so
it.
crazy. And you look and see this book was coming out in like the mid 90s. What? It's like
Right.
almost unbelievable. Like it's hard to fathom. So yeah.
And then my
Definitely
favorite thing
recommend.
about the Allreds is like right in the middle of comics being the worst, right? In the early 2000s, right? Nobody's reading comics, right? It's like me, Jelani Brooks, and like 10 other people in my city, probably. I ran a comic shop at the time. I know. And it was hard. But then he starts his own publisher, AAA Pop Comics. Like, let's do it. And he does the Atomics on newsprint. And like, who would even do that? Like,
Yeah.
hey, man, the industry's the roughest it's ever been. Let me start my own publisher
Right.
and just make the Atomics is, oh my God, I love the Atomics. And that's all included in the new Madman libraries that they've been doing. But
I
yeah,
need to
good
check
stuff.
that out. Absolutely. E, sorry to leave you hanging, bro. How about you? Have you read Batman Dark Age number 5?
Man, I love the work of Mark Russell and I love the Allreds work, but I gotta say, I didn't read this. I
Fair
missed
enough.
the boat on.
You gotta take a shot,
Superman.
E. You gotta take
I
a
know,
shot.
yeah, Greg.
Man.
If you can, like, yeah, let me borrow that.
There you go.
Here you go, eat, take it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I missed the boat on this one, but I will be circling back around because you guys speak very highly of it, and I got to read it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely
Somebody
recommend it.
call up Mark and tell him that Eric's not read it. I mean, how would that feel? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Right. Yeah.
No,
right.
That's worse than reading Creature from the Black Lagoon and not liking it.
Eric didn't even give it a shot, Mark. Oh.
Just threw that shit in the trash.
He's like 40 pages. Fuck you.
Who do you think you are?
It's a lot of books, guys. Come on.
Uh,
All right. Good job, Stu.
thank you, sir.
Good pick. Good pick. Greg, you have the reins.
Speaking of books that Eric has not read,
Oh no.
let's go with one that I feel like I could do Precious Metal. I could do grommets. We do it all the time. So I'm going to give some shine to one that I like that, again, was a surprise for me. So I'm going Magma Comics, The Pedestrian by Joey Esposito and Sean Von Gorman. This is about a freaking superhero who wears like a all white onesie suit, like with his logo is the pedestrian you can walk now symbol. And the book opens up with literally the character like saving this woman from, being robbed, and like he starts to chase after this woman being robbed, and bam, he can't chase after the criminal because there's a red light that says don't walk going on. And I'm like, it's funny, it's unique. I don't know what to expect. I don't know where they're going with this story. I don't know what they're going to do with this world, but the promo that they're doing on their TikTok, Twitter, everything, like the covers they're getting for this are great. And that we just are living in a world where we have a superhero who is a pedestrian, like, yes, who speed walks. He freaking speed walks. Like, that is his thing. And the way it's Sean's art that he's depicting this in this way, like you can sense like this dude is walking in a way that you're like, I know how he's walking, super fast speed walking, and it's awkward and creepy.
You go to the mall at 7 a.m. and you'll see it, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what to expect. It almost feels like a commentary on superhero comics. And the art's good. You've got a little homage here to like, there's like some Power Ranger characters that they're watching on TV shows, which I heard on an interview with them that was like a failed comic pitch that they had, but they felt so good about it that they're just putting it in other comics as like a TV show. I just thought it was a lot of fun. It's a publisher I know nothing about. Their creators I don't really know much about, and I had fun. It surprised me. And I think like when I read 30, 40 comic books, despite what Gore thinks, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So it was a lot of fun. I don't know how long this series is going or what to expect, but it was a fun first issue, and I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. So with that being said, Robbie, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. Like I read the first issue and I was like, I think I like the book. I'm not 100% sure though.
That's
right?
where I'm at. It's so unique. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so quirky. And Magma, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're connected to heavy metal, right?
I don't know. Like I can't.
I think it's like heavy metal doing like an American publisher or something like that. And I haven't really vibed with many of their books. There was one that Derek Robertson did. I don't even remember what that was called now, but I liked that one. Yeah. He just did the first issue. Like he was the writer.
I saw one of the solicits. I'm blanking on it.
Geyser, like not Geiger.
You're right. I'll get there for you. Don't worry.
Yeah. So
keep talking.
So I read this one, and I think in my review, I was like, I don't know if I like it or not. And I think Allred did a variant cover for Pedestrian.
They had so many great covers for it.
So if you got the Allreds involved in any kind of form or fashion, I'll check it out. But I mean, it's an interesting, quirky, weird book. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm really intrigued by it though, because it was unlike anything else I've read over the last few months. And we read a lot of comics, y'all. And like, I know we make the jokes or whatever, but Greg as well reads a lot of comics. And we read a lot of the same shit over and over and over, the same art type style, like the same art styles, the same stories, the same thing. We get to, it's boring sometimes when you can go, oh, I know exactly how this plot's going to go out. Like I know what's going to happen in issue 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, it's a 5-issue series. I know exactly what's going to happen at what point. Or not exactly, but you know where the beats are going to go. I don't know where the fuck this book is going. I'm so fucking weird. Like, and the other characters as well. Like, it's such a weird fucking book, dude. And I really appreciate that. Like, it's people taking a chance, doing something different. And I'll be here. We'll see what happens. But I don't know how I feel about it yet because it's just so damn weird. But it's different than other books. And I like that. I like it. It surprised me. So I'll say that.
Greaser.
That's right. Greaser was good too. So like Magma, like I didn't like Principles of Necromancy. I hated Scale Trade. There was another one. I can't remember, I think. But those two so far, they've got me intrigued.
Yep.
They have my attention. So we'll see what happens.
So, Nick, tell us how you did not read this book.
Didn't read it. Didn't even hear about it. Don't know what it is. And yeah, sounds interesting. A guy who can't cross the yeah, there he is. There he is.
It cracked me up, dude, when you're reading the issue and there's a woman and he's chasing after it, and it's like pedestrians, no crossing, and he stops.
And he stops.
He's
Yeah,
like the epitome of
what Greg
someone
said.
who wants to follow the rules, and like, you know, like he finds the wallet of someone that robs someone, and he goes back and takes it back to that person, to their apartment, and just leaves. Like, so you don't know much about this character. Like, I'm so intrigued because of, like Robbie said, we read so much comics, and I'm like, I think I like this a lot. I just don't know.
That's usually the part where I go, I don't like it enough to keep reading it.
Well, you read it. Read issue 1. Let me know what you think.
Tell me what to do. No, I can't. I can't. Yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds fun. It has like it sounds like it has a lot of satire, and it's funny, and it breaks up the norm and stuff like that. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
So
get
Eric,
it, for sure.
Eric, tell us how you did not read this book.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head here. I did not read this, didn't know it was coming up, but you're like the third person I've heard to talk about this book now. Like John Spillio had dropped a review on this as well, and I was just like, okay, maybe something is brewing with this because I hear a lot of rumbling about it. So I'll circle back around. I'll take a peek, see what's going on.
Yeah. Stu, I know you're not reading this book. So
Yeah, sorry, bro. Yeah, I'm the same boat as you though. I saw Spillio's review and it definitely like piqued my curiosity. I like without Spillio, like again, like, I think the third or fourth book tonight, I definitely wouldn't have heard of or been on my radar without the homie. So I got to check it out. So yeah.
So I know Eric, you came in pretty hot off the cuff here this episode. Like, I got a book that no one's read. Well, top that, my friend.
Okay, I think I'm up to it. I think I'm up to it.
So with that being said, Robbie, you're up, my friend, for round 2.
Already back to me. Nobody else read it. Did
No one else read it.
Nobody else read it.
No one
No.
did.
When did it come out? This
Greg,
week?
to pick a movie,
It came out 3
to pick
weeks
a comic
ago.
that nobody. Yeah, it came out a
boy.
while. Like
It
the
came out
beginning of the
3 or
month.
4 weeks ago, and I did not pick it up on day 1. I saw people mention it. Maybe at Comic-Con, like that it was coming out. So I was like, I'll check it out. And one of the shops I went to had it. I was like, let's just grab it. It was $3.99. Why not? And I loved it. I thought it was a blast.
I don't read any Star Wars books. What are you talking about?
Good for you, man. Good for you. Every time there's a new number 1, I'm like, I feel like I have to read this. And eventually I'm just going to start having Brooks give me like a 30-second clip to put in for Star Wars books because he reads them fucking all. He reads all the Star Wars and all the X-Men books, dude. That's why Brooks is never here for the monthly comic book review, because he reads shit comics. So there you go.
That explains it.
He does read Precious Metal, though, but I'm not going to mention Precious Metal for my second round pick. I'm not going to do it because
someone's got to.
Darcy, Ian, we love you. Matt.
Oh God,
Yeah.
it's on,
It was like so unanimous we couldn't even.
Yeah, it's on our
Yeah,
table.
look at- we all got it ready to rock.
Everybody was like, this,
It's right
this is
here.
what happens when you don't fucking jump at your opportunity. But I want to highlight something.
Yeah.
And I got to go ahead and preface this. I'm not paid for this. Okay.
Oh boy.
It's a Dynamite book.
Oh, is
But
it this
I
one?
got to really put a lot of shine on Space Ghost number 4 by
Wow.
David Pepose. And let
That's
me
my
tell
next
you
one.
why. I think David and Jonathan Lau, by the way, did the very first and only exclusive cover PCP has ever done. By the way, Blood, Skulls, and Chrome has been made into a streaming movie. So I hope that you can find somebody to buy
Nice.
your copies of the PCP exclusive. If not, or if it does pop off, I still got plenty. So that would be great. And anybody wants one, just pay for shipping. I'll send it to you.
Oh, hey, Robbie.
Nick and Eric are like, I paid $20 for that. You
And I waited 6
wasn't gonna
years
say
for
it.
it.
Robbie, I did not pay anything for it. So, Robbie, I'll pay shipping.
I got a black and white cover. I got a regular cover.
Well, you got signed ones, right?
got
Signed by
signed
like
ones.
everybody.
I got
Right?
Tapeworm Boy. I got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, Jonathan Lau did that cover, which is great. That was Bueller's idea to do like an homage to the first Ghost Rider cover. So anyway, Jonathan Lau's doing a great job with the art. My major problem with the book is the coloring. I think the coloring is a little too orange sometimes, or not necessarily that it's too orange, but most of the pages just use like the same colors. And it's not like, I don't mind a limited color palette, but I want it to be dynamic. And I think the coloring in Space Ghost is not dynamic. But why I'm picking this is David Pepose is doing a fantastic job of taking this cartoon property. And, you know, I know some of y'all out there that watch this channel, y'all were there when this shit first aired, right? For the rest of us, this is like Cartoon Network territory for us, right? When Cartoon Network started in the 90s, I loved it. I was able to finally watch that 60s Fantastic Four cartoon, right? I was able to get into all of like the Hanna-Barbera stuff. I watched Wacky Races, and I hadn't seen that stuff since I was a kid in reruns. But I used to watch Space Ghost and Birdman and all that stuff. And Space Ghost was something I really liked. And then, of course, the brand, some could say, got tainted by Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I'm not saying the brand got tainted, but like what the core concept of what Alex Toth helped design for Space Ghost was a little bit tainted. We lost a lot of people today when they think of Space Ghost, they think of that show. By the way, do you remember like who was it? Was it Zorak that was eating Moby when they interviewed Moby? I don't know. There's somebody's like eating Moby on Space Ghost Coast. I love Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but I like the original stuff too.
Do you though?
And yeah, I guess not. But I tell you what, this book blew me away. I already think they're doing a great job. I think Dynamite's doing a really solid job. I said this earlier today when I was talking to Tom and Janine, but I was like, Dynamite's kind of setting themselves up as like a modern day Gold Key, right? Because back in the day, Gold Key would do like Disney books, and they would do like Hanna-Barbera properties, and they would do Star Trek and things like that. A lot of licensed material, but they did it pretty freaking well. They used a lot of European artists, like some of the Star Trek art, even though you can tell in the early Gold Key Star Treks, they never saw an episode. They had no idea who these people were or what a transporter was or anything like that. But they would use these Italian artists that were amazing. They always had great covers. But man, David made Zorak so fucking scary in this issue. Like, he took a silly ass villain from a silly cartoon and made him a true transporter is Jason Statham. He made him a true fucking threat, right? And they do the typical story thread where sidekick, stay here. This is too dangerous for you. It's like when Batman tells Dick not to go after Two-Face and Robin year one, right? And he does it anyway, and he gets his ass beat, right? Yeah. Or when he tells Jason, don't go after the Joker. And what happens? He kills Jason, right? It's that kind of a situation. Spoiler. You made Zorak as threatening as Two-Face or the Joker. And to me, that's crazy. And what Jonathan Lau did visually, y'all, it blew me away. And here's the other thing blowing me away. Space Ghost numbers at my shop right now. Why is it outselling some of the Marvel staples? I sell more copies of Space Ghost a month right now than Captain America, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Fantastic Four. The only thing that's like hyper, like the only thing that sells more from Marvel right now is like Venom, Spider-Man, and fucking X-Men. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. And people just buy those out of habit. And Moon Knight. Moon Knight outsells it just a smidge. But it's like right there. My Moon Knight numbers are strong. I don't get it. Actually, I do. Jed McKay's doing a great job. But Space Ghost, holy shit. This book is amazing, y'all. And when David pitches something, he knows what he's doing, right? And he really has grounded this and made it rooted in it does not feel kiddie. It does not feel silly. It does not feel like a 60s cartoon. It feels very fucking awesome. And I'm loving it. Zorak was so, it just blew me away. I had to give it some flowers tonight. What about you, Nick? Space Ghost.
The week it came out, it was my pick of the week. So yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. I loved everything you just said. I liked how menacing they made Zorak. I like, even though you saw that coming, the story we've seen it, before sidekicks go off and stuff and they get in trouble. I loved it. I liked even the side stuff when Space Ghost was fighting whatever that robot was. I can't remember who it was, and the intensity of that battle. And it played nicely with the other side of the story, which is the kids trying to save the scientists because Zorak and all of his troops were taking them all out. So visually, I thought it was great as well. And it was my pick of the week. So I absolutely loved it. It was a great one.
Hell yeah. Eric, are you reading this licensed comic from our friends at Dynamite?
No, and I hate the fact that I'm not right now because you guys talk it up like it's getting pick of the week worthy. Like,
that's great.
Like, what am I jumped on Johnny Quest, and I have no history with Johnny Quest, and I loved it. So like,
great
I'm
book.
really
that's another
really
good one too.
Kicking
Yeah,
myself.
solid.
Yeah, Yeah. So this sucks. No, I didn't read it, and I hate myself. Stu.
Yeah, I'm
damn it,
suicidal.
Eric, it's me.
stepped on Robbie
I'm
again.
running it.
I don't care. I'm
suicidal as
not reading this book.
yeah, I'm suicidal as well, dude. I read issue 1 and 2 and I loved it, but I haven't caught up with 3 and 4. I read Johnny Quest #1 and loved it. I thought when you said Dynamite book, this is where we were going, but regardless, I need to catch up, and all apologies. Yep.
There wasn't a smidgen where you thought I was going to go into like Powerpuff Girls or some shit.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, I thought we were
maybe.
going. I thought we were going Johnny. But
I also thought Thundercats had a really freaking
Yeah.
good issue, and it was a Wily Cat issue, and I was like, oh god. And I read it, I'm like, wow, that's actually good. Crazy. I've not been paid for this promotion, by the way. Greg, you reading Space Ghost?
Listen,
Or do you want to ask him, Eric?
Where's Gore?
Oh my God! Somebody call
Gore,
the
push your
ambulance.
shot down because I'm reading Space Ghost.
Oh.
Heck yeah, baby. It's so good. David Pebos is fantastic. Again, before Robbie cuts me off stream, I have no history with Space Ghost. I haven't watched the show. I haven't watched Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So for me,
That's not near as insulting as not watching the
Well-
Universal Monsters. It's okay. You're good.
oh, I'm being on. I went to the Universal Monsters haunted house at Universal Studios. Robbie, is that where?
No, it doesn't, because I've never been to that. And I'm jealous, and it pisses me off that he went. Why would you even fucking Doug? I'm just kidding.
right, he tried to low-key flex on you.
I also went to a lot of spots where they filmed Harry Potter, and I hate that stuff too. So there you go. So let's just hot takes left and right here. No, I think it's been great. I don't know anything about this world, but it's been captivating as a story. The art by Jonathan has been fantastic, and I was hesitant because nobody likes kid sidekicks. I give Robin a pass because I feel like Robin's not your token kid sidekick that you had in the 80s, like Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, kid sidekicks, and those.
You keep Short Round's name out of your fucking mouth, okay?
Wow.
It was just you're on.
Yeah.
We
You're
talked about
on
racist
you're on-
earlier.
You're
Jesus.
about to cross some fucking lines, dude.
Wow. As a national treasure, Academy
But
Award winner.
Short Round was great, and Everything Everywhere Always at once. So I can't.
Do you know that's based on a true story? Woman lost her
Shoes.
fucking kid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's right.
Jeez.
So I don't. Again, it's not a world I'm used to. But when Pepos pitches a book, he has it's this and this, and man, I was sold from the get go. I've loved it. I'm here for it. I feel like this is the best issue that we've gotten so far. So it's been a lot of a baddie of the week, and I feel like we're getting a little. And I know that's how David talked about it, but that it was going to be that we're going to get individual issues. But I kind of this is the first through line I'm seeing a little bit where I'm okay, I'm here for it now. The stakes are risen, and I'm let's go. So.
I also love how Dynamite's the only publisher who's Francesco Mattina, AI. Who gives a shit? We've already paid him. Put out
Right.
the cover. I fucking
Thank
love it.
goodness this is not a paid bit by you, Robbie.
I know, and not today, but just wait. There's more coming. Heck yeah. What a great batch of comics, not including Precious Metal. What's up, y'all?
It's coming. Don't worry.
That's crazy. All right.
Yeah.
We all are going to talk about in a wrap. Can
Yeah.
we just do a Precious Metal round? Because
Let's talk
let's
about
be
Precious
honest.
Let's
Metal.
just do Precious
it.
Metal.
Let's do a
Precious
Precious
Metal
Metal
is
round
great.
because
Bonus
we
round.
all didn't want to pick it because we all knew we were all going to rave about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
In this book,
Yeah.
issue 3 took it into a direction that you can feel it coming, but not quite to the
Yeah.
level that they hit. Ian Bertram's artwork still amazing. And once again, I want to go back to the comment that I had on one of my videos where someone's like, yeah, I couldn't get into it because they didn't explain anything. That's one of my favorite things about the book.
Right.
It's this dude's got crazy fucking tentacle arms. Who cares? He does. It's like Grant Morrison does that, right? And Grant is my favorite writer, period. And across any medium, right? Because Grant will throw 80 ideas at you. Only 2 of them really matter to the story. And anybody else would take that idea and run with it for a whole series, right? Just the little nuances of this book could make an entire run for somebody else. But Darcy and Ian and Mark and Haas, they don't give a shit, dude. They're telling a story. This is the setting. The setting is weird. The setting is wild. and they're not going to treat you like an idiot and explain and spell everything out for you.
Yeah.
This book is right now, it's like best of the year for me. And it's only getting better, dude. And it's such a fucking masterpiece. And if it takes 5-6 years for each one of these books, I don't know if that's going to make Darcy a lot of money, but it will make a lot of great comics. Like this stuff is next fucking level. This is like Rom V on Many Deaths of Layla Starr as opposed to Rom V on Carnage. You know what I'm saying? Because Creature we're still on the fence about. Anyway, Precious Metal, what do you think, Nick?
I think it's one of my favorite books right now. It's amazing. It's a third issue, and we had some unexplained things happen in here, so we have to unpack that a little bit, and we have to figure out if subsequent issues are going to be informing us about exactly what's going on inside here. But that's what I love. I felt like I followed issue 1 and 2 pretty well. I reread them each week they came out. It was like one of the only times I ever read a comic twice. So I pulled the Verno on those books right there. I did the same thing for issue number 3, and I still don't think we have all the tools to know exactly what's going on, but I think we're heading in a place where we're going to be seeing the Matrix Code a little bit. Max Sarge, he's going to be exploring that power some more, and I just love the revenge mission he's on in the beginning of this, like that blind rage when he realizes what happens to his wife and how he was betrayed by a character, and maybe it was for good reason or it had good intentions to begin with or something like that. But I'm loving how these characters are playing different roles in his life, and you don't know who to trust right now. And we have this amazing artwork by Ian. That one splash page, we all know what I'm talking about. The splash page where we see the giant. Yeah, thanks, Jarek. Yeah. That splash page right there was incredible. And I chatted with Ian a little bit, and he's like, it took me days to do that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it looked like it. It was incredible. So what a spectacular book. I cannot wait for this to go into like a hardcover collected edition and just do a breakdown on it. It's going to be such a thrill, man. It's a beautiful
artist
book.
editions, man. Can you imagine?
Absolutely.
Right? Like Ian's work is so fucking amazing, and it's worth waiting for 100%.
Yeah,
and if you ever want to take a slight break from the Little Bird world, could you imagine if those dudes did like a Hellraiser book, dude? Oh my god, dude! Because like his art would like so fit with that. I'm on a Hellraiser kick right now because we're doing Hellraiser for Horrorfest on Monday, and we're doing Candyman next week on Verno's channel, Blood Splatter Chatter, and they just announced at Scarefest Clive Barker in what may be his final con appearance. Y'all, I mean, as soon as I heard about that, I just creamed myself. I had to go change my underwear like 3 times. It was great. Speaking of creaming yourself, Eric, what do you think about Precious Metal?
Hit the nail on the head with that little transition there. Yeah, this book is fantastic.
You just do some coke, read the book, you just cream yourself, right?
Coke.
What else do we need?
That's what Eric's here for.
Yeah. Dude, it's got everything though. It's got intrigue, right? Excitement, the unexplainable, and with the splash page like that, like what else do you need? This could be a completely blank book, no dialogue whatsoever. You don't gotta spell things out for me. Just give me more of this over and over and over. It's hard not to say that this is like a top tier competitor for. I don't even know what the competition is, to be quite honest with you, for the best comic of the year. There will be something, right? But dude, this comes to mind over and over and over again. And like every single issue, I just cracked this open and I'm like, I just want to read it again. I just want to sit here and read the issue again. And this will be like the 4th time that I've skimmed through it. And it's like that for every single issue. Their work is fantastic.
Yeah, really is. Stu, what are you thinking?
Yeah, man, I echo everything you guys said. Transcendent artwork from Bertram. I love the energy cubes, like the shot that he just threw up. I also love how you see the boy in different situations, both with the death cult and like when he gets taken by Homegirl as well at the end, and the guy's expecting different results. I love like these different factions warring over this child, but I like how we learn more about the kid and his powers in this issue, but there was also so much more mystery and questions like asked as well at the same time. It's for me beyond a doubt like the book of the year. I mean, the artwork is just amazing, man. It's you can tell he took days and weeks and months on creating this world and these characters, and it's just a joy to salivate over page to page, issue to issue. It's just been such a treat for 2024. Kind of came out of nowhere for me. I didn't know this was coming and wasn't really familiar with the Little Bird universe like some of y'all. So this has just been such a gift. So can't wait to see it.
Have you gone back and read Little
Have you
Bird
read
yet?
Little Bird?
What is it? Final 3? We're going to 6, right? Or 5? I have, for sure. And the homies, Ian and Nick did a great breakdown on it as well. But yeah, definitely, yeah, gone back. You know, especially with
Did
like
you
the
read
mystery.
it, or did you just watch their video?
So I read like 3/4 of it and watched their video. I'm gonna keep it.
To be fair, it's an hour and 45-minute video.
And found the rest. It was great though. I listened to it in 2 rides to work there and back. So definitely covered it then. But yeah, I think you can't help but want to go back and read and get more familiar with this universe, just given these little morsels and bits that you get here. If you just jump into this not knowing what's going on, I think you can't help but be curious and want to know more. But yeah, man, like I said, how many issues total do we have? 5 or 6 for this guy?
I think it's 5.
Should be 5.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
We got 2
Little
more.
Bird was 5, so I think this one's 5 as well.
But so, are there more arcs and stories they have planned
There
to
should
tell?
be one more, if you believe Darcy's past interviews. There should be one more story.
Okay.
They're going to keep doing this as
The
long as they can afford
the
to.
rumor has it that they want to take a break and do it. Ian and Darcy want to do a different story after this, but they have more Little Bird universe.
Make Ian and
amazing.
Darcy the next like Brubaker and Phillips, and just keep putting out projects over and over and over.
For sure.
I don't think
they're
Ian
definitely
can
headed
keep up
there.
with Sean's. I don't think he can keep
No,
up with that
no,
pace.
probably
though.
not.
No.
Yeah.
They get like a graphic novel every
Yeah, I
other
think
month.
Ian's definitely
It's
like a-
ridiculous.
Dude, yeah.
Has anybody read Houses
Yeah,
of the
dude,
Houses of the Unholy or whatever?
It
Has anybody
was
read that
so
yet?
good. It
I
was
haven't read
so
it yet.
good. Oh,
Okay.
dude, you gotta pick it up, or you gotta flip through it. It's so good.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Greg, Precious Metal. But first, Gore, I think a better thing for you to be doing. Gore, by the way, says there are 6 issues in this, so that's interesting.
So sorry, I'm just reading the 2/3 that Little Bird that.
Oh, jump on it! Yeah, you finally got somebody to
reading
jump
the
in the
2/3
boat with
that
you.
Steve
Fucker.
didn't
Yeah,
read
that's
for
right.
him.
Go ahead.
And Gore Grimm, I think the best thing to do would be take a shot every time Greg has read one of the books, including Precious Metal, right? Why don't you talk about it?
It's so good. Like I'm not gonna hype on this much because you
There is
all have
6.
done the exact same. The art's fantastic. Darcy's storytelling is great. But what I want to spend my time talking about is I feel like we need to have Darcy and Ian on a panel with this group after Precious Metal is done and just do an all spoilers talk about this.
Do a 4-hour review.
Yes, because I feel like
Greg,
I
it's
feel
already
like
in the
there
works.
are not bigger fans of Precious Metal and Little Birds than us. Precious Metal, and then like all of us for Little Birds, and then kind of Stu for Little Birds. But
I know we can make that happen, right?
we can make that happen, and I think we should.
I get
It's already-
Darcy's email.
It's already happening. Yeah,
Yeah,
we got
it's
it.
happening right
yeah.
now. We're gonna be like, hey, you and Ian gonna come on? Hey, bring fucking Hollingsworth and Haas on too, right? Let's just have the whole team there and be like, okay,
Celebration.
panel 1, page 1.
It's gonna be the longest stream ever.
Our longest stream we've ever done on PCP is over 6 hours. I bet we could crack.
We
that
could
record, right?
literally only have to spend an hour per issue. We could do that.
Yeah, we could totally do that. Maybe break it up. That might be the best thing for them. They're like, man, we gotta work, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Guys, I got pages. Ian's like, guys, I got pages to draw. Usually a 2-page spread. I
Not
already
coming
told
out for
Eric
5
to-
years. You'll
yeah,
be
but I
fine.
got this Hellraiser book that I got to do. So I. All right,
Hey Robbie, I've never watched any Hellraiser movies.
that doesn't surprise me. Why don't you watch number 1 and you should join us in the chat on Monday night. I would love to hear what you think. I'll even break my 6-panel person rule if you want to join us, man.
What's the aversion to horror, Greg? If you don't mind me asking, what's the
He's a pussy. I mean, that's the aversion right there, obviously.
Say it
I
again.
mean,
No.
I was gonna make a never mind. I was gonna make a different comment.
I'm just joking.
But no,
Pussies
like,
are great.
it's not
We
even
love
at
them.
you. No, it just, I don't know, it's never done it for me. So like I feel like there's always genres that like don't just like
just don't
whatever
click with you. Yeah.
it doesn't click. Like, so I don't know, like I don't get scared. And like the over the top grotesque like bloody horror doesn't do it for me of like, ooh, that gets me going. So like I'll be curious, like if Hellraiser's streaming somewhere, I will watch it before your show Monday.
Okay.
I'm not gonna buy it to watch it.
Pull it up. It's on Tubi probably.
You're gonna hop in the chat with us.
I will watch it and definitely be in the chat so I can tell you my opinions.
Do you get Amazon Prime?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Done. I'll watch it. I will watch it.
Bruh. All right, watch it alone. You got kids, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna watch my 7 and 4-year-old are gonna watch it with me. It's gonna be great.
Totally. They'll be fine.
I first watched it when I was like,
Listen.
I first watched it when I was 7. You don't want your kids to grow up like
they had nightmares. They had nightmares from Encanto. This is not gonna bother them. So like, we're good. So it's fine.
Have a high threshold now. That's good.
Hell yeah.
No, Bruno was scary to them, dude. Like, don't mess. We don't talk about Bruno. Like,
He had crazy eyes and hair, and he was weird.
Yeah, Bruno was frightening as shit.
Yeah,
All right. Well, Greg's going to read some comics and he's going to watch Hellraiser. So he's got a lot of work to do. So let's wrap this up. Rapid fire. This is where the best of the rest, if you will. We've already talked about Eric Roberts. So now let's talk about, I can't remember anybody else in that movie. I was doing the best of the best reference. So Nick, why don't you kick us off?
Okay. All right. We talked about it a little bit already. Dynamite Johnny Quest. Issue number 1, Joe Casey was on this one. Robbie, you had a conversation with him recently, and I like this a lot. I grew up with a little bit of Johnny Quest, and so I was very familiar with the cast going into this. I was very surprised about how interesting the story was for this first issue, and it had a great mysterious opening. It built in a cool way, cool action set piece at the end, and like a what the hell, how can this possibly be moment towards the end too. So I loved that. So it was, really, really good job Joe did on that one. Geiger from Ghost Machine Universe, Jeff Johns, really great issue as well. This is kind of like Geiger going on his revenge mission, his John Wick mission, almost in a way.
This is the John Wick issue, right?
Getting the electrified man, getting back at him.
Every page, I'm like, if they kill this fucking dog.
I know. Dude. Especially there's
same
on the catwalk where like the dog comes back and you're like, don't do it.
Yeah. And he's like, you don't ever learn, do you? And you're like, no.
You're like, no, I do learn. Yeah. So and I love to. So it's really, really cool. In the end of this book too, they show Junkyard Joe and they show some people.
They do, right?
They do, and I think they might show some other people too. So this book right here is bringing some of the other Ghost Machine characters, into the story as well. But Geiger is like it's my favorite Ghost Machine book just because of the legacy of the character. He's been around the longest and stuff like that. So love that one. Marvel wise, I really dug Aliens vs. Avengers. Actually, I like this one. This is cool. If you're going to bring these two franchises together, I think they picked an interesting way to do so. I like the future landscape that we live in, the characters that are alive, the situation that we're in, and the little twist at the end, like Parasite versus Parasite in a way. So I think it's gonna be kind of cool to see the repercussions of that and what they can do with that knowledge. So I thought it was pretty solid. So
would you recommend that based on the price?
I don't know. I don't pay hardly.
You don't. $8. They have to.
It was $8. So like, yeah, I mean,
it's 41 fucking pages. I counted it live on.
We were how many? Okay, of all the trash books we had to buy, just buy like one or two less bad books.
I just need you to admit that Marvel is fucking shit. Okay, that's
no. Yeah, for sure. $8 for that. Yes, obviously, but like
multiple other books.
Just buy one less bad book, and that costs as much as
There you go.
As
buy one less Star Wars book, like Nick does, right? And Omega, thank you for the super chat. That's $2 to send me to go see Oasis next year. So thank you all so much. Huge Detective was really fun, really, really fun. By the way.
I'll save that one for Eric and Stu. So Spider-Man Reign, Volume 2, Issue number 2 was a solid book as well. Yeah. Again, I did not read the first volume, but I'm in love with everything I'm seeing with this volume here. Really emotional too. There's some really cool moments in here where older Peter's going around trying to find his Mary Jane, and he's on this mission, and he interacts with some people that we know, and really cool ending to this story. And it's just got me more hooked, man. I can't believe I like a Spider-Man book that from a volume I've never read before. So that's really cool. And then last book, I touched on the first one with one of my first picks, but Savage Sword came out this week. I like this one a lot. Huge cast of characters in this one, short stories for each of them, all leading to this Blackstone event. And I just loved it. And I love the little montage of characters in the back too. We have like this like lineup right here towards the back of all the characters they were showcasing throughout the whole thing. So yeah, just so cool. They're doing a great job on that. So yeah, Savage Sword and Conan the Barbarian are solid picks for each month.
Great rapid fire, especially if you're like a tech bro or whatever, you know, and you can afford an $8 fucking 40-page comic.
Wow. Not to harp on this, but man, the fact that the second issue doesn't come out till November drives me insane.
Yeah, and it's $8 too.
$8 and it's not coming out. Like, I'm gonna forget it, so might as well trade weight it. Like, you're not Vicious Circle.
Just
like,
skip Pedestrian 2 and 3. And when this second book comes out, you'll have enough money.
Well, I'll tell you this: Jonathan Hickman didn't put any like infographics in this one, so he doesn't have his full heart in it. You know what I'm saying?
But it was still a cool, like I said, if you're going to bring these two platforms together, these two IPs together, they did a great job.
I liked it. I liked it. But out of spite for the
solid.
money and the distance between comics, I'm like, screw you.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was a great first issue.
Yeah, but you know, after the whole series is out, we'll forget about all that. Was it a good story or not? Did he execute? And that's so far so good.
We'll see.
Very true.
What about you, Eric? 9-panel grid. Everybody go check them out. Sub up to them. Vote for them. All that jazz. Rapid fire, man. What you got?
All right. It would be absolutely criminal of me to not bring up Kaya at least once throughout. Yeah, exactly. You knew somebody was going to bring it up. You're welcome. Man, I love that we're back into the kind of original timeline. We're back with Kaya and Jin with their adventures. The villainous character in this, I love seeing how he's kind of being really put through the ringer in this issue as well. And it kind of shows that we're developing the story a little bit quicker than I thought we would have, getting into those future things that we've kind of seen previews of. So I really loved that. Sacrificers came out this week, and good lordy, this was fantastic. This was such a great issue. Still spending time with Seluna, still spending time with Pigeon's family, kind of seeing how that structure works and seeing how the gods are sweating a little bit. Loved it. This is fantastic. Series that slept on, Briar. I don't think anyone's reading this all that often here, but this was super, super good. This was the end of the second arc. I was really delighted to see that this is not the end of the series, just the end of the arc here. I think they're going to take a break, but we kind of see Briar and her team get back together. They're going to start, taking their forces against the fairy godmothers, as this is kind of a reconceptualizing of the Briar Rose Sleeping Beauty kind of story. That was awesome.
So is that the one that you said, I guarantee nobody's read this book but me?
No, the one I
was going to ask the same question.
No, the one I guarantee. Okay, I'll finish off with this one. Elric the Necromancer #2.
Congratulations. Nope.
Yeah, nobody's read this book, but man, it was.
Everybody take a shot.
Yeah, everyone take a shot.
Are you, Gore? Gore, you're cut off.
Somebody in the chat brought it up earlier. I can't remember who it was.
Did someone bring up Elric? I would be so delighted if that happened, because it was worth it. It's a retelling of the Michael Moorcock story of Elric. Marvel had it in the Epic line.
What's his last name?
I'm not falling for that.
I had an employee of mine one time be like, bro, this dude's last name is Moorcock. And it was just like, use that to sell the book if you need to, man. Like, just
why not?
It's Legusi.
Yeah.
Legusi's back.
Legusi and Moorcock.
I love Legusi.
Legusi. It was a fantastic issue, though. Cold-hearted character who gets thrown through the ringer, loses all his powers, basically, has to go through this really MC Escher-esque castle, working his way through there. Really fun issue. I think it's worthwhile picking up here if you don't have any background with Elric like myself. So that's my rapid fire.
Nice. Speaking of Moorcock, Stu, what about you for rapid fire, man?
Yeah, man, I got 4 for y'all. First up, Boy Wonder #4. Another beautiful, fantastic issue from Juni Ba, written and drawn by him.
I totally thought that was the last issue. There's another,
right, dude.
Like,
same.
I don't understand.
At the end of it, I was like, man, that was a beautiful conclusion. And it's like, up next, the bet. I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said this is the last issue in their review, and I'm like, no,
That was me.
No,
I was
yeah.
like, this gotta
do
be
that
the
stuff all
last
the
issue.
time.
I don't like that. Yeah, it definitely felt like that at the end. So we'll see what happens. But regardless, I loved how focused on Damien and Talia's relationship. How as a mom she had to come to grips like the decisions he's made, and it kind of shows us Damien building on the lessons he's learned in this book. And I just love that moment at the end where he's got the spirit of what's his name, Wen, his childhood nanny, who basically got sacrificed in this place for breaking a vase, and like he kind of sets his spirit free and decides to choose his own path and not listen to his mom, and his mom shows pride in that, and that's what he was missing all along. I just think it's been such a beautiful look at Damian Wayne and his history. One of the best looks we've ever gotten at the character. So I agree with you though, Robbie. I don't know where they're going to take it from here. I thought this was a wonderful conclusion, so we'll see what happens. But Ain't No Grave #4, the silent issue, one of the best yet, really the best yet in the series for me. I think I brought up #3 on a past episode of this show, but yeah, Jorge Corona just going ham on this one. I just love the trust Scotty Young gave him to kind of tell this story in this issue, and whether it's in the emotional close-ups, like the landscape shots. I love the shot of the tower. And then Ryder finally getting to death at the end, and I love how it's told through flashbacks and the theme of depression over all of it. It's just masterful, man. And I've been loving the series so much, but this was definitely like I think the high water mark for it so far. So definitely Ain't No Grave #4. Gromit's #4. Anybody who's ever been to a high school party that got too out of hand or like too many kids found out about,
So good.
Yep.
Dude, there's so many moments in my youth that I can so relate to in this comic, and that's what I love best about it. But I love like they're all chilling. It's the group of them watching the movie, and then all the idiots show up at the end with the keg, and you just know where that's gonna go. You've been there before. Yeah, just a great book for anybody who grew up in the 80s or 90s. And then lastly, Last Mermaid 6 just came out this week, but I love this book. I think it could go on forever. I could use a little bit more story-wise issue to issue, but regardless, I think the pace definitely serves the book well, and I think it could, like I said, it could be like Saga or Kaya. It could be one of those books where we're telling a tale years on down the line. But I just love this burgeoning relationship between Torque and the mermaid, and this journey they're on together. It's just a beautifully drawn, beautifully written book. So highly recommend those 4. That's what I got for Rapid Fire.
Some really great picks, man. Greg,
Thanks, dude.
Are you pulling double duty tonight? You didn't tell us.
I am. I got to show with John at 9:00, but listen, he can wait. So
yeah, John, who gives a shit about that guy?
John can wait.
You know what I'm saying? Tell us your rapid fire.
Gord, take a shot just because you don't like grommets, because it's fantastic.
Grommets is great, dude.
Wow.
Yep.
Just for the Taco Bell
awesome.
reference alone, back in like issue
Right?
3 or whatever.
Yeah, the tostada and all that.
Oh, it's my turn. So let's go with grommets would have been up there. Let's go PB Poo Poo issue #1. I love it. It gives me vibes of like Daniel Klaus, like it's in that world. What is this? Silver Sprocket? Yeah, like it just is a lot of fun. Like I love that cartoon vibe. I like those style of comics. Red Before Black, Stephanie Phillips, Boom Studios. I thought it was a really good detective kind of noir. She has to, prove her worth, but then like has to deal with, go kill this person. She's kind of like, I don't want to. I'm not gonna not talk about. Come on, Dick Tracy. It's so good. I love it. Issue 4 is great. They raise the stakes like tenfold here. Like I'm there. Sticking with Mad Cave, Defenders of the Earth, issue #1. That we're getting the continuation of where they left off with the 4 issues from Marvel run, and Dan DiDio has aged up the kids a little bit. Again, I don't like kids in comics and movies, so like to have them now grown is better. And in the chat, who gave you a super chat, mentioned Huge Detective, Adam Rose, Magenta King. I love it. You get this. Giants and humans have to live in separate worlds, but there is someone who is a serial killer who has committed, murders because he's a serial killer who thinks he's a giant and will only talk to a giant detective. And so they have to bring in this giant who's a detective. A lot of fun, and I think what they give the a little bit of nods to like perspective and stuff in comics. I think it's good. So well worth it. Highly recommend them all the comics. So
great rapid fire.
Sweet.
All right. I'll kick it off with White Boat number 2. I Distillery, they have some interesting stuff. Like the same week they released Life number 1. I wasn't quite on board with that one, but White Boat number 2, even though it had been so far removed from issue number 1 in the schedule, I still fell right back into that world. Scott Snyder does a lot of exposition. He's a little wordy, right? But Francisco Francavilla is one of my favorite artists, and I love the way that he visually told that story. Void Rivals number 12, y'all. Void Rivals number 12.
Yes, sir.
Void Rivals in the Energon universe is the book that shouldn't fit in, right? It's Kirkman doing his own thing. Hasbro technically owns it, but it gives him the opportunity to allow other creators to come in and do G.I. Joe and Transformers, right? I just got off the call yesterday with Josh Williamson and Tom Riley about G.I. Joe number 1. Y'all, it's so pumped. Were you there, Nick? Were you there for that?
Yeah.
Oh, we should have been chatting.
Yeah, it was really good.
Super cool. Very excited for the stuff coming up there. But Void Rivals number 12, the way that this book has started tying into the Energon universe, like, and it become essential as a part, y'all, they awakened Unicron. So that's a spoiler, but that's a pretty fucking badass thing that happens. Unicron is on the horizon. Blood Squad 7, issue number 4. My man Joe Casey killing it on Johnny Quest, killing it on another book I'm going to mention, Kneel Before Zod number 8. That was a book that was meant to be 12 issues. He had shortened it to 8, and he did it still masterfully well. You could read issue number 8, and you can tell that it was shortened, but he is a professional. He's a veteran. He's been doing this for a while. Kneel Before Zod has brought Zod back to where we need Zod for the Superman future. But Blood Squad 7, it's him doing with Rob Liefeld's Youngblood what he did with Jim Lee's Wildcats, but in a different kind of way. And if you're a fan of The Boys, you should be reading Blood Squad 7. I'm not saying it is The Boys. I'm just saying if you like that kind of a vibe of a more realistic and problematic superhero team, check that out. Very impressed with Thundercats number 7. We talked about it a little bit already with Wily Kit, Wily Cat. That should be lame, right? But it's not, because they go off and they find Mumra. That was super, super cool. Destro number 3. Dan Waters may not have slayed it on Creature of the Black Lagoon Lives, but he's killing it on Destro, diving into the history of the Destro clan, why he wears the mask. Everything is so fucking awesome about that book. Transformers number 11. It continues to impress. And now we know that Jason Howard is doing the third story in that. And I have no problem with Transformers right now. Like, it's just artistically, it's great. Jorge Corona just killed it once again. And they are leading into things. And Ultra Magnus being such a little, like, he's dealing with some traumatic, like, stuff from like the previous war. Like, I love the way that story deals with war. Transformers is a story about war. And here's a big surprise for me for the week or for the month. Uncanny X-Men number 1, I thought was pretty solid. And I'm really surprised because most of the X-Men books have sucked. In fact, I'm X-Men number 3 released this week and I'm reading it. And I'm like, this is so fucking boring. Right. But Uncanny X-Men felt, too. And X-Force 2, right?
Like, oh God.
But Uncanny X-Men number 1 felt fun. It kind of felt fresh. It didn't lean too much into like having, like, it didn't lean too much into being post Krakoa, but it had fun characters. Gambit, he's about to make a name for himself here. If you haven't heard, right?
Oh, brother.
But Rogue and Wolverine, and I don't know. I really was impressed with Uncanny X-Men number 1. Yeah. All my more gnarly picks, though, were picked by everybody else. So great show, everybody. Join us next month for the best comics of September. Or maybe it will be the best comics in November. We got to switch it up.
It's getting too predictable.
It's getting too predictable. Anyway, Nick,
and we're only going to talk about Christmas comics in September.
Yeah, let's
do it. We can talk about our favorite books of like September of 5 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
There you go. 2017, best books of September.
You out there in the chat, thank you for taking time out of your day. It's a Friday night. Everybody's got shit to do, including Greg. Nick, what's coming up? Final thoughts.
Yeah, Nick at Night weekly comic book review show coming out tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Of course, I have my new release videos and haul videos and things like that. We had some interviews already on the books, so you can check out that playlist as well. And yeah, CBCA nominations out right now. Favorite channel, 1,000 to 5,000, best review, and best ongoing series. So yeah, make sure to go to CBCA and cast your votes now until October 19th, I believe. So, yeah, as always, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Conveniently, there's a link in the description below to take you right to the CBC Awards, so you can vote for all of us fine people that were nominated, and then do some write-in votes for Stu and Greg. And remember, a vote for this show is a vote for them, and a win for PCP is a win for you. So, Eric, thank you so much for being here. Best Unknown channel. Why don't you tell us what your final thoughts, man? What you got coming up?
If you've read all of Little Bird, a couple issues of Little Bird, or none of Little Bird, I think you should go over to Comic Culture's channel here and look at the most extensive, most comprehensive breakdown of that series known to man. I happen to be part of that, so thank you so much, Nick, for having me on that. New comic book reviews dropping every single Monday morning, so you can have a cup of coffee, learn about some comics, and like everyone else has alluded to, CBCA finalist voting here. So best unknown channel, even though you gentlemen make me feel very known, and best new channel. So consider me for those votes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And you're welcome for the nomination, man. I had like 20 burner accounts that I just I'm just kidding. I wasn't. If Brian's listening, then no. Well, I got 20 friends with 20 as well.
So don't sort that email.
How do you think we got Go Figure Reviews nominated, man? They're not even a comic book channel. Anyway, Stu, what about you, man? Final thoughts, my man.
Yeah, thank you all for having me. Always a great time with you fellas. So many great books this month, so it was a joy to talk about them. Catch me on Dr. Doom's Fan Club on YouTube and IG. Yeah, celebrating the comics I love one way or the other.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And you're all around Horrorfest as well.
Yeah, man. I'll be Blood Splatter Chatter almost every Thursday night with the homies, and on a couple PCP movie nights as well. So yeah, check me out there for Horrorfest 2024.
Heck yeah. Greg, thank you so much for being here and keeping John waiting for us.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that, man. What's coming up, man?
Man, you can check me out on Robbie's channel talking about head raiser with
Head Raiser.
That's what it is. That's head raiser. You got it.
But no, I mean, my channel is basically just interview with comic creators. So if you go to my channel, I just had Shane Connery Volk on, who Prairie Gods from Mad Cave. He's a writer and artist on it. He was the artist on Nottingham, which just wrapped up this Wednesday. Next week, you can see my interview with Zach Kaplan, who's Kill All Immortals, a bunch of books that I love, Mindset, which just got optioned for a TV show from Don Shield. So like a lot of that stuff. And then you can find me on John's Comics with Kids literally as soon as this stream ends, and we're going to talk about some fantasy fairy smut books that we're reading for some reason and loving.
That book?
What?
Is there pictures in that book that look?
No, that's the thing.
A collected edition
or
your
imagination, bro. It's called words, like just words.
Wow,
no
talk
pictures.
about verbose. Is that by Tom King?
No,
It's got to be Claremont, right?
It's got to be Claremont or
it's not
King.
Tom King. It's actually power
Kradransky.
fantasy, just in novel form. So,
Okay, well.
It's the artist edition for.
We're gonna raid John's channel after this.
Yeah, raid John's channel. If you're
Okay.
in the chat, just come talk.
Yep.
I can't promise you're going to enjoy the content, but you're going to have fun listening to us talk about stuff you have no idea about. So,
Nice.
Heck yeah. Everybody go check that out. There are links to these fine gentlemen's channels in the description below. So go sub up, do me a favor, and vote for us at CBC Awards. That's right. This show, the monthly comic book review, we're defending best collaboration. We want to win it again, y'all. Make sure that Stu and Bearded get a chance to enjoy the
please.
I'm going to live vicariously through you.
But we're in the midst of Horrorfest, y'all. Horrorfest, man. The bloodiest, most transgressive Horrorfest lineup of all time. Last night, Stu and the gang were over there at Blood Splattered Chatter. Talk about Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to you. On Sunday night, you can join Dylan's Horror Show as they talk about Trilogy of Terror. And then join me and Greg as we talk about Head Raiser on Monday night.
Oh,
PCP movie night. Yeah. With Bela Lugosi. And next week on Blood Splatter Chatter, join me as we talk about Candyman. So it's kind of like a Clive Barker double feature. You see that? Stu, you going to be there for Candyman?
Yeah, I'll be there for Candyman. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep it together with the head raiser nonsense.
All right, y'all. We're dipping it out, and we're dipping it out with the Horrorfest trailer again, which Verno did such a great job of putting together. We love you. Station, pop, pop, boo.
51 movies across 3 channels. The bloodiest, most transgressive Horrorfest lineup yet. Bloodiest, most transgressive Horrorfest lineup of all time, and it all kicks off on August 19th